You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
Could we rise again as a nation?
What do you mean, could we rise again as a nation?
Okay, because the state of the country.
What do you mean by the state of the country? I don't understand that. Explain me.
Right, the country have plenty money.
Have plenty money?
Yeah.
How you know that? So you have to tell me I have a child. Tell me now. How you know that? Gentlemen, thank you for the day. I can't really understand that.
Oh mama, oh yo. My nation is bleeding, prophecy unfolding, judgment in morning. I love you still, mommy.
When will it end? Tell me, how did we come this way?
Oh my Trinidad and Tobago.
While the nation still hope and pray, the devil busy, I say.
Oh my Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh no, I'm feeling the pain for you, mama. Revelation strikes at your corner. Still we are holding on. Your children have lost their way, fighting for survival each day. Oh no, going from dawn till dawn. What is happening to my country? Every day is a sacrifice. Blood flowing like water daily. Lives could be lost at any price. There's no way whisper. Some don't care to stand when it play. The lawless is now in control, so the good folks going away. Oh, my Trinity. Strange signs all around we are. The hills are alive in a different way. Your babies are dying, brutally I'm seeing here. Could we rise again from what pain? Yeah. Oh, the mighty dollar, now cast a spell of uncertainty.
Oh, my Trinidad and Tobago.
You see, when the rich is getting richer, the poor must remain empty.
Oh, my Trinidad
know that error.
and Tobago.
I say, oh no, people balling for pain and hunger, inflation, cost of living higher, can't get no daily bread. So the youth them on top the hill, somehow their bread basket don't fill. Oh no, so they turn to crime instead. The arms of the state disappointed, still their salaries are daunted. Large increase in the fiscal budget, oil money reach a all-time high. Don't buy no jet for so much of money when the hospitals are in need. Poor people at everyone's mercy, so the hill reacting indeed. Oh no. Yeah, yeah. The hills are alive in a different way. Them who take in the money must be for it daily what we need. Who come what they, yeah. How could we truly excel in the midst of all this suffering?
Oh my Trinidad
No.
and Tobago.
Tell me, like Shadow said, poverty is hell, so it seems like the devil is king.
Oh my Trinidad and Tobago.
No. Cocaine and guns in the heart of the ghetto is what we sow, we shall reap tomorrow. Who are we going to blame? Even school children doing crime, well, that is a sign of the time. Oh, my lord, have we now gone insane? Whilst we kill, we own one by one. Skyscrapers going up in town. Chinese laborers at the core. This new city some shall see no more. So we have to hold on to CPEP 10 days and must to get along. Scraping the bottom of the barrel with all this money in town. Oh yeah, my Lord, the hills are alive in a different way. You have to but we rise again, come what may. Yeah. In this abundance of wealth, still the poor people cannot cope. Oh, my Trinidad and Tobago, it is a stark reality. So much of even of hope.
Oh, my Trinidad,
oh, my Trinidad,
and Tobago.
oh, my, oh no. Some turn to vagrants in the city, homeless children begging have mercy, Lord. Child abuse have risen again. Look like Jean and Dinah come back in town. The girls and them singing the song. To survive by any means necessary, dignity gone down the drain. Some say the leaders have failed to do right for one and for all. When there is an imbalance of the scale, then the writing is on the wall. If you ignore the like people, the devil shall intervene. It's only divine intervention. I hope you know what I mean. Well, is it true that God is a Trinity with all these crimes and sweet La Trinity? No. The hills are alive in a different way.
Population go, gun control, girl control.
And is it true we have all this money in this land of so much poverty? No. The Lord is my shepherd, come what may, yeah. To you the powers that be, hear the cries of the people you see. All this wealth and nothing for we. No. Because of living is too high. This little money the poor can't buy. Oh my, why? There must be a way. To help the people today, I say. There must be a way. Yeah. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. From Genesis to Revelation, in my Father's house around many mansions, to take care of 1.2 million natural resources, he made provision to feed this nation. Look, we have oil and gas, it's Lake and Mars, and Calypso, Choppy and Limbo. When there is no property, crime would decline naturally, then we could live in harmony. My holy La Trinity, yeah. I love you, mama. I love you, mommy, yeah. My children. Thank you.
We gotta save it. Oh yeah, my sweet TNT. Oh yeah. We used to sing sweet Trinidad. To leave here, boy, you must be mad. This is the land of milk and honey, rum and coke and easy money. While those verses we were singing, alarm bells kept on ringing. Pundits on each pulpit saying, oh heart and our soul decaying. Suddenly we wake up to a living nightmare, not least while electoral start. How did we ever come to this? But so long we hear it, you got to stand up and be counted for daily wearing Timmy. school skits getting on. We're fighting, making porn. Us school girls you won't believe. Live MMA, they're pulling weave. Check the vibes, they're living by. Dance all slackness, get rich or die. Alkaline to Movado. Mention maestro, they don't know. No morals, no ethics. There is a centrifugal black hole. Lord, we must move quick to wake their conscience and save their soul. So long we've been hearing evil triumphs when good men do nothing. No triggers pump while words be frothing, and while church attendance real low. Protest pack plus them casino, while black market prices haggling. Through a pot with big guns they smuggling. Spanish women are hot like their music. Saucy salsa, human traffic Trinbago. We can't wait. The devil making hay while we sleep. Tell them talk is cheap. We're caught in the world when we have to reap. While we look on them as more mothers who weep. We're in the world when we have to reap. Oh yeah. Oh no. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, Now the nation's soul has been revealed. How they find Shannon Banfield. Busy street, yes, in our city. Killed by beasts who show no pity. Now there's fear and trepidation. What is happening to our nation? So I pray this one infraction will propel us into action. Trinbago, the time is now. We have to take our country back while these monsters flow. We cannot run from their attack. That is why I'm still saying time to stand up and be counted. Our young girls, they're being hunted. Not for jobs by institutions, but by clubs for prostitution. While from you gas some arranging on the seas, cargo exchanging. In the Gulf, drugs, guns and women. And the Coast Guard cannot stop them. Trinbago, the time is now. Look how the murder rate leap. Tell them talk is cheap. We're caught in the world when we have to reap. Before more of our daughters, they put us to sleep. We must stop this world when we have to reap. Time to stand up and be counted. We must defeat this threat they've mounted. We cannot wait for no messiah. Like zero fiddling through the fire. But while the flames we keep romancing, the grim reaper keeps advancing. Across the land he casts his shadow, slashing victims to the marrow. Trinbago, the time is now. Look how the price we pay in don't steep. Why stop labor keep? We're caught in the world when we have to reap. We need a fresh new broom for a broad crime sweep. Must stop this world when we have to reap. Save our land, Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I say you get up one morning, your elders have something. You don't know how they get it, but you want to use it. But if you ask them old people to get the things what they went through, ask them this any day, and your parents sure to say, black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind, brother, that you're able to get a pulley and jam with the devil. Why? Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind, brother, that you're ready to swim offshore and hold your boat steady. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. So when you hear you get a little something with that dragon eye, you keep watching, because I don't tell you already. Black man get up one morning, and oil money running. How it come you don't know, so that it care how the thing go. But if they read about Uriah, they wanna find out the pressure. How we get so much old hell to get a penny from TLL. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to take up your own cash money, pay people for your own refinery. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind to be a magician, to make money out of scrap iron. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. So when you hear you get a little something, with that eagle eye you keep watching, because I don't tell you already, black man don't get nothing easy. Say we got up one morning, independence happening, getting the thing come easy. Now they're taking liberty, but if they know about petition, we have to send to England for some woman to tell we in this colony free. Black man have to keep on jabbing, for black man to get a little something. You got to go to conference in England to get independence in your own land. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. People hold you, humiliate you, turn on and sell you, and then they free you. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. So when you hear you get a little something, with that dragon eye you keep watching, because I don't tell you already, black man don't get nothing easy. So when a black man gets something, he got to start thinking to get it easy. He got to practice economy, from getting licks from the slave master to become the landowner. Brother, it's a terrible journey, packed with plenty brutality. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to rise up, you got to stand up, pick up your mind, you will always stay on top. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to go to conference in England to get independence in your own land. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to take up your own cash money, pay people for your own refinery. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind to be a magician, to make money out of scrap iron. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to go to conference in England.
Keep me as the apple of thine eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wing. O Lord, my Savior. It's so hard to deal with personal struggle. It's so sad when you feel alone in your trouble. It's real hard when you want to talk to a brother. It's so bad because of how some look at you after. So Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover my head. Satan want me dead. Cover my back from human attack. So Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. People see you smile, but don't know the hurt that you're feeling. Even as God's child, at times your heart does be bleeding. Where can you go when you're really looking for healing? Who know how to flow when your soul needs some restoring? Lord Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me home from evils unknown. Cover my feet so I'll never retreat. Oh Lord, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover my brother, cover my sister, them who under pressure. Cover the preacher, every church worker, the young believer. Cover the worship leader and intercessor, every gospel minister. Cover. Jesus alone is the one who has the real answer. The one on the throne is the true and loving Father. He will hold your hand and keep you from going under. He will make you stand and let you know he's a fixer. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me mind. You know the struggle sometimes. Cover me mouth, that the wrong thing wouldn't come out. Oh Lord, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover the Christian in the midst of aggression with the power of your right hand. Jesus, cover them helpless children. Jesus, defend them. Send help from heaven. Jesus, cover all them radio stations that blessing the nation. Grant divine protection. Jesus, cover me.
Truer words were never spoken. The less you associate with some people, the more your life will improve. Anytime you tolerate mediocrity in others, it increases your mediocrity. An important attribute in successful people is their impatience with negative thinking and negative acting people. As you grow, your associates will change. Some of your friends will not want you to go on. They will want you to stay where they are. Friends that don't help you climb will want you to crawl. Your friends will stretch your vision or choke your dream. Those that don't increase you will eventually decrease you. Consider this. Never receive counsel from unproductive people. Never discuss your problems with someone incapable of contributing to the solution, because those who never succeed themselves are always first to tell you how. Not everyone has a right to speak into your life. You are certain to get the worst of the bargain when you exchange ideas with the wrong person. Don't follow anyone who's not going anywhere. With some people you spend an evening. With others, you invest it. Be careful where you stop to inquire for directions along the road of life. Wise is the person who fortifies his life with the right friendships. If you run with wolves, you will learn how to howl. But if you associate with eagles, you will learn how to soar to great heights. A mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the kind of friends he chooses. The simple but true fact of life is that you become like those with whom you closely associate, for the good and the bad. Note, be not mistaken. This is applicable to family as well as friends. Yes, do love, appreciate, and be thankful for your family, for they will always be your family, no matter what. Just know that they are human first, and though they are family to you, they may be a friend to someone else and will fit somewhere in the criteria above. In prosperity, our friends know us. In adversity, we know our friends.
Never make someone a priority when you are only an option for them. If you are going to achieve excellence in big things, you develop the habit in little matters. Excellence is not an exception. It is a prevailing attitude.
Yes, 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 yes. Let me say a special hello to all of WZYE 95.9 FM listeners. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it's in the village with the Dat triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And of course, we come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, when you come into the village, you know we originate, we don't imitate. We welcome each and every one. Doesn't matter what color t-shirt you have on. You have on an orange t-shirt, you have on a purple t-shirt, you have on a red t-shirt, you have on a burgundy t-shirt. Each and every one is welcome in the village with the Dat triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. It also doesn't matter what planet you're from. You're from Mazatanians, Venerians, Sonaranians, Japanaranians. Each and every one is welcome in the village with the Dat triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. Let me say a special welcome to no other than the commissioner from Newark, no other than Thomas from Sally Bay, Bolivia, by way of Palo High School, from Marabella, on his way to New York, no other than the commissioner in Newark, Thomas E. Marshall Nisbet, boy.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, family. How are you today, Mr. Wall Street?
Today is a splendiferous, excellenticious day.
Okay, it's a pleasure being in the village as usual, and look forward to seeing everyone, each and every one. Love you all, and just step right up and come into the village. Let's do this.
Let's do this, man. Let's do this. Hey. Let's do. Let me say a special welcome to no other than Waveney, Benskin, Diana, Greta, the poetess, the poet, the author from a school in St. Augustine on her way from Barbados. No other than Diana, Waveney, Benskin, Greta McDonald. Welcome, Diana.
Hi, villagers. What's going on? What is going on? I see a whole heap of thing going on in Trinidad, my birthland. I'm incognito today because I'm in a little bit of. So, how you doing, Tommy? What's up? What up?
I'm good, Wave.
I thought you say he was born in Barbados. No?
Anselm, there you go again. I tell you, go to a qualified ear doctor and let him take that red wax out your ears. You're not hearing properly.
Okay.
Okay?
I apologize.
I was born in Tunapuna in a village, Page, and I grew up in St. Augustine, those areas were my stomping ground.
Okay.
I don't know if I was born in Barbados. My parents are Bajans, and I'm a Bajan by descent. I claim my Bajan heritage wholeheartedly.
Okay. Like I'm a Tobagonian by descent, right?
I don't know what the hell you is. I know I'm a Bajan by descent.
How did it smell?
Marvelous. Splendiferous.
What kind of scent it is?
Huh?
What kind of scent?
A Joe Malone Parisian pear.
Okay.
Oh, I see. The Onyx Wave.
That's an expensive scent.
Yeah. I don't do the cheap lime call and them kind of thing.
Lime call is a boss, you know?
Yeah, boss on a hot day when you have a headache. That's about it.
So you don't like Old Spice?
Nope.
Yeah, Old Spice
Everybody smell like Old Spice. You all gotta come in Fahrenheit. Now we talking.
Mm-hmm.
Now Old Spice is our boss.
Old Spice is Old Spice. That old time thing, but you gotta come in Fahrenheit and Aspen. There's one by Aspen. It smells really nice. Yeah, everybody smell like Old Spice. Everybody smell the same. Come on. Mm, mm, mm.
So what kind of perfume you use wear?
I wear Joe Malone Parisian pear. I just mix it up. English pear, Joe Malone,
Oh,
or a touch of class by Fabergé.
oh, okay.
Alrighty. Alrighty then.
Two very distinctive you the flavor. When you smell them, you're like, whoa. And if I want to go on the cheap side, but it has a nice smell, it's white wild musk, clear wild musk in a clear bottle. I get it at Walmart. It smells really good, but just a little dab I need. It lasts really long.
Wait, wait, wait.
What it smells like? Take me home.
It smells like a lily, like a flower, gardenia, something like that. Nah, smells really nice, for me. And when I wear it, people ask, "What are you wearing?" So I wear, I don't wear them all at once. I wear different scents, different times, depending on where I'm going.
So if you're wearing that and I take it to mama, what would mama think?
Anyway, what do you mean? Parisian pear or a touch of clay? Mama might want a bottle herself.
Oh,
Okay.
mama might, mama might not say that goes too
Mama
expensive.
be like, "Ooh, where can I get one of them?"
Wait, can you get that at Bobby's on Church Avenue?
No, you can only find Joe Malone on. You got to get it in the airport duty free, or you go on Amazon, and the next one is on eBay. You can't find that at Bobby's duty free. On Bobby's
Amazon
on
and
Church.
eBay.
Yeah.
Wave. That sounds a little suspicious. Amazon and
No,
eBay.
Tommy,
well, you
correct.
have to
Tommy,
know. Yeah,
absolutely correct.
but
Absolutely correct.
you have to know what it is you want. You can't just go. I know it because I've used it for years. And here the name Fabergé. It's a French product. It ain't no. Okay, good.
But listen, if you go in on Amazon and eBay for that, there's a great
I,
possibility
mhm.
that you might get better thing at Bobby's than when you go
No,
to
no,
Amazon.
no, no, Amazon. These bottles are no, 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 no. These are the original, authentic
But you,
thing.
but, but you don't know if it's original.
It's
When you go
authentic
in.
because I know the scent from way back, and
So,
it smells right.
have you tried Fenty yet?
Shit, everybody in that they don't do nothing for me.
Okay,
It's just
let's check.
just blase. It's not. It's not different.
Well,
I use her foundation though.
you could get the wrong stuff on Amazon and eBay.
You could, and then you can send it back. But so far I've never gotten the wrong stuff because I know what is the right stuff. It's not like somebody who don't know the product and it comes in its original and otherwise I'll send it back to Amazon. It's crazy. Yeah.
Okay, so you get the
But
right stuff
most of the
from Amazon.
times I buy it duty free in the airport.
That means that you've been collaborating with Janet Jackson, the right stuff, baby.
Yeah, but it's best to get in the airport duty free. And I do like Fenty lip glosses and her foundations. Yeah.
It's Fenty or Fendi.
I think, you are Fenty is Rihanna's product.
Or Fenty, yeah.
Mhm.
I
There's Fendi and there's Fenty, I think. Right, Tommy? Fendi? Yeah, I think
I think
there's
it's
a Fendi.
it's Rihanna.
Fenty is Rihanna, I think. I have a bottle on my dresser right now.
So let's say a special good afternoon to no other than it's always the Tommy Color, the queen of
The village sweetheart.
yeah.
Nadia Mongo!
Nadia was in first. Nadia says good night, handsome, good night, Tony. And I put up something here in the screen with a transformational and a transactional leader.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Lord.
There's a
One who's
specific reason why I put up that.
mm-hmm.
It's that a transactional leader is proactive in nature and a transactional leader is reactive in nature, right? So I want to we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. And don't forget, coming up at 8:05, we had Max James out of Tobago. We're gonna have a discussion again.
Mm.
Well, not again, but we're gonna have a discussion on what's being done to Tobago by the central government in Trinidad,
Mm.
right? Whether they are treating Tobago the way they should be treated, or whether they are treating them like stepchild, and whatever they get, they take. You know, Nadia says good night, Diana.
Good night, Nadia.
She says good night to Keisha, Judy, Lana, Rose. I notice that Lana is back. Lana, welcome back.
Welcome back, Lana.
Hi, Lana.
Good night, Brenny, Hailey, Vonnie, Troy, Ellis, Ulrich, Ken, Capiza. And of course, we have the second village sweetheart,
Yep.
Takesha.
Kish,
Yeah,
Kish.
yeah. Takesha says good night, everyone. Yeah, we could have two sweethearts. Nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
Some people just have two sweethearts, right?
That's right.
Takesha said good night, Ansam. Yeah, good night, Diana. Yeah, Diana got plenty emojis too.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Yeah.
be a hater. Don't be a hater.
Nadia, Lana, Rose, Caris, Marisha, Miss Cuva. I ain't seen Miss Cuva in a while, Joan, Erica, John, Judy, good night. Yeah, Takesha like to separate the males from the females. That's a good thing. Albert, Bonnie, Ellis, Rajri, Ulrich, Hailey, Troy, Chris, Tropics, Daryl, Rennie, Ken, Capiza, Anderson. Where Anderson been going, boy? I know Anderson will come out now, because it's a local election.
Hmm.
You know? Yeah. Anderson does come out whenever it's an election. Yeah. Takesha say only love in the village, no room for hate or negativity, just love in the village. Hey. All right. Well, I had to get a drop of that drum roll on it,
Hold on.
for Dr. Love.
We right there tonight now.
I had to get a drum roll for Dr. Love when he come in.
Mm-mm.
So he says, good night, brothers and sisters. Love in the house. Great love is all I bring. Right? You gotta get a drum roll for him. I go get it. He says, sending out delightful, beautiful, wonderful, joyful love to all the ladies. All right? Here's the poem for Diana now.
Oh Lord. He's a poet. He's a poet. No, let me hear the poet. Let me critique his work tonight. Let him go ahead. Let me hear.
Let me see. Last time when he gave his words, you only thing was that singles.
Let me hear. Let me hear we come with tonight.
Super Blood song, singles, everybody singles. I say, start the carnival.
Wait. It's not singles, it's signal.
Oh Lord. Sam, stick to your day job now. Don't sing.
All right. So here it is. Love is here to keep you happy and make you smile. Love is available to you then and all the while. Happy Heart makes a joyous song. To you, Diana, my love is eternally bound.
You ain't put no Diana in there. You like to put Bacchanal. You like Bacchanalist. No, Bacchanalist. That's what you is. Typical PNMite.
No, listen. I saw when Rennie first put this in the chat.
Typical PNMite making Bacchanal.
He deleted it and retyped it.
Oh Lord.
He had make a mistake and put you, Diana, my love.
I see ladies there. I don't know what you know. Anyway, let me don't pay you no mind.
No, but I'm telling you what he put because I saw the chat earlier and
right answer.
So what grade are you giving him, Diana?
Yeah, Diana, what grade are you giving the love?
You gotta come with a different subject, man. I love. Tell me something, man. Give me some serious lyrics.
No,
remember
love is the key. Love is the key.
Remember you talking to an award-winning poet. Come heavy. Let me hear you, man. Come heavy.
Happy Heart makes a joyous song. To you, Diana, my love is eternally bound.
Oh Lord.
What are you giving him? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best.
He's mundane with the love thing now. Come, let me go with some heavy subject, man. Let's go.
What do you think now, man?
Oh.
Diana, you need love every day.
Yeah, we gain him.
I gave him a 2 out of 5.
Nah, man.
Diana, be kind. Be nice.
Yeah, be kind, man. Nah.
I gave him a 2 out of 5. Only ask me again. I gave him a 2 out of 5.
All right.
Come with some heavy subject, man.
The man telling me love is here to keep you happy and make you smile.
Yeah, I hope your wife listening.
Love is available to you then And all the while.
You gonna make we name Rennie White put him out there?
No, really safe, man. Happy Heart makes a joyous song.
You gonna make Mrs. Muhammad put him out?
To you, my love is eternally bound. Yeah, ready?
Yeah,
I have to
whatever.
say, I like that one. Tommy, you don't think that one was better than the one
Yeah,
Tuesday?
I think he's happening.
Yeah. I just think that I'm being biased. That's all.
Hey, Mrs. Muhammad. All right, Mrs. Muhammad gonna put him put the garbage bag, he closing that garbage bag by the road. Then
He,
pick it up.
the name is Muhammad, and Muhammad is entitled to several wives.
Really?
Yeah. Correct is right. Tommy, you're absolutely correct.
As
So
many
here
as he
it is
can
again.
afford.
The next part. Let me go to
And
part
my
number
name is Miss McDonald, and I entitled to one husband.
So let me
You
go
sure?
to part 2 now. Trafficking love locally, regionally, internationally, universally. What?
Not universally,
That's
universally.
not universally, universally.
Mm-mm,
What?
mm-mm.
What?
To all color,
All
creed,
color,
shape,
creed, shape of
or
oh
form.
God. Yeah, boy.
You
I like that
see,
one.
right? He talking to the women now, yeah?
I like that one. That is a good one. Yeah. You're coming
Talking to
good.
the women now.
So we're getting him in that one there now. Oh,
I,
no, still
I,
what did
ungraded. Unfinished, ungraded.
Uh-oh.
oh God. All right.
Dana, you're a rough professor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
boy.
that's right.
Yeah, boy.
And when
I mean,
professor, when prof in a little bit of pain too, yeah, you gonna get rough. Yeah.
oh, you'll get rough with Rennie?
Grumpy. A little grumpy right now.
You don't think he's gonna like that?
No. Me neighborhood all in.
Oh, me, I was wondering the same thing.
All these troublemakers.
But you
Oh
said
goodness.
it, We didn't say anything that you didn't say.
All it is troublemakers. Go right along in the chat now. What is that?
Let me say welcome to Lana. Lana, welcome.
Lana, oh, what's going on, girl?
I miss you. We miss you too, Lana.
Yeah, boy.
Lana said blessings, Ansem, Tommy, Diana, love in the house. What? That Lana is your queen love?
I think that's what she had taken the title of president. As she can't go look up and beat the tail job, Alana. She like
we
them
give her?
Benny beat it, they work.
What did we give her? I don't remember that.
Lady Love.
Is it Lady Love? I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I think so. We have to remember that. So Diana is Lady Love. We have a Doctor Love. We have a Lady Love. Right? Getting plenty love in the village.
That's what we need.
Yeah, Takesha say we only love in the village, no hate, boy.
Anyway, racism, no God, we don't need it.
Lana, things good. All right. Look, Mean Gene. Mean Gene say, good evening, Wall Street. Tommy, and a special good evening to Diana with her heart.
Hold on.
Let me repeat that. Just say good evening, Wall Street, Tommy. And a special good evening to Diana with her heart. See?
Diana, you getting overwhelmed with love or what?
That's nice to know.
Yeah, and so Trinidad Margo, welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. Even Hailey sending out love too.
Hailey, not too far.
Blessing and love.
Oh, you really convinced Hailey, boy?
Yeah.
The love in the villages is contagious.
Hailey, they got you trapped too, boy.
Hailey going
only love in the village. Only love in the village.
Yeah.
It's contagious.
So wait, I gonna know when that is good when Capiza starts sharing out love.
Watch.
You call him the Capitan?
Yeah, you wait until 5 of them bumblebees
When Capiza starts sending out love and forget PNM, we gonna know.
Nah.
Capitan, you're being called out.
We gonna know.
Nah, Capiza only said love. Nah. I think the love doctor got to talk to him. So let me say welcome to Oprah. Good night.
Good night,
Oprah. Oprah in the house. Woo.
Yeah, Oprah says, good night, everyone in the village. Ian, Miss Kuva, sending you all plenty blessings. Oprah is my daughter. Have a safe weekend. No HDD, please. So Oprah is Miss Coover's daughter.
Oh, okay.
Oh, all right, all right.
All right, Miss
Yeah,
Coover. Good night, Miss Coover.
yeah. I look, Heidi says he does bust love all the time. You all ever hear Heidi talk about, and did you previously remember Heidi using love?
He is he love Philip Alexander. He love Pep.
No, but
Oh,
I do remember him busting her
I
love
really
all
am
the
picking
time.
on you, boy. They pick on me, so I can pick on you now.
all right. Hey, something happened today. A friend of mine called me and tell me that Wednesday night he's coming in with his car, pulls up to his gate, and three young men came up to him, one with a revolver, and said, "Pass me the keys, pass me your wallet, give me all your money, and take
What part of Trinidad is happening?
Arima and
Oh,
drives away." I said, "My gosh."
it's bad down there. It's bad. It's bad. Mm, mm,
But
mm.
but the worst part of it all is that the inaction of the law enforcement is troubling.
Yep. Well, didn't earlier say how the thing gonna go down by June?
You know,
Yes, June.
nobody,
Okay.
people might not think that I will say this, but I tell people I am for country, right? They
But look,
need they need the second coming of Gary Griffith.
a guy went to, in Tunapuna, somewhere in Tunapuna, El Dorado area, and he dropped his son to judo, I believe, and he was sitting in the car waiting for the son to finish the lesson, and they come along and they take the car from him and everything else.
See,
Yep.
they have these guns, and they come and they put these guns in your face, and you have to
Mhm.
comply because
Mhm.
if you don't comply, it may cost you your life.
Yep. But the good guy, you can't. It's oh yeah. To go to work,
And
it
what's
ain't look
what's
like you're safe on the job.
what's disturbing is my friend tells me that his neighbor has everything on camera. These young fellas won't wear any mask or anything.
You
And
see?
up to now, the law enforcement wouldn't come to the or make themselves available to try to figure out who it is because they can simply look at the neighbor's footage.
You know, Tommy, it's interesting that you say that. The BBC just held a kind of a crime symposium in Trinidad, and
Mm.
there were some questions and so forth back and forth. And um, the Minister of Energy, Stuart Young, represented the government, right? So I want you all to take a listen to this.
Okay.
In Trinidad for its World Question series. Of all the questions submitted by the 100-strong audience, 7 were chosen to be posed to panelists. Dozens of those submissions were crime-related, but it would be Rishi Mohammed's to get the final nod.
My father was a farmer plagued by crime until he was murdered on his farm 2 months ago. To date, no homicide detective has been assigned to us. Why have the past and present governments and the police service failed us on crime?
Former National Security Minister Stuart Young.
Yeah? So me hear
Yep.
that?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah? So what you're saying there and what that guy is saying is absolutely true.
They
Right?
took a man's phone. At least if they decided to right away to track the phone, they could. But I don't know.
Yeah, so let's listen to
In
this.
Trinidad for its World Question series. Of all the questions submitted by the 100-strong audience, 7 were chosen to be posed to panelists. Dozens of those submissions were crime-related, but it would be Rishi Mohammed's to get the final nod.
My father was a farmer plagued by crime until he was murdered on his farm 2 months ago. To date, no homicide detective has been assigned to us. Why have the past and present governments and the police service failed us on crime?
Former National Security Minister Stuart Young, now occupying the ministerial post at the Energy Ministry, represented the government.
Crime is an issue that affects everyone, unfortunately, and the government is very, very conscious of it. And we're very disturbed by what is going on as well. The responsibility falls to whoever is the government in power. I can assure you that the government is working with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service in the other arms of our national security.
He explains the transnational face of the societal ill.
We are trying to employ as much technology as possible. We're trying to boost the morale of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. It is something that is a top priority for the government. It is something that we're constantly behind our protective services on and trying as best as we can to provide them with the assistance. I'm very disturbed to hear what you said, that no homicide officer has been assigned to investigate the cases yet, and you say that's for the past 2 months. So that is something I'm sure that I will make the necessary inquiries, I can assure you of that, and tell them that that is unacceptable.
Opposition parliamentarian Anita Haynes lobbies for, among other things, progressive discussions.
Putting resources as a problem without measuring the efficiency with which those resources are being mobilized to the best interest of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And so every year we have a kind of reactionary approach. So we'll get a murder statistic, we will get a crime statistic, and we'll tell the population, well, there's a reason to be afraid, and we are already afraid. But what we aren't hearing is that with the $5 billion put towards national security, or all of the interventions that are being proposed, we never hear at the end of the year or at the end of a stipulated period any acknowledgement of what worked, what did not work, what could work better if we made certain improvements.
Economist Dr. Marlene Att says the nature of crime has changed and the public needs to lobby governments for the return on investment.
Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, it is an institution, and unless we look at whether or not that institution is appropriately resourced, and I mean both in terms of their human resources, their financial resources, etc., then they really will not be equipped to address the kinds of challenges that we're seeing in Trinidad and Tobago. So the first point I would wish to make is about the institutional framework in terms of the police service and what we expect them to do.
Lawrence Arjun, CEO of the Heroes Foundation, says it all starts from the top.
Starting with the politicians, the examples that you set in the parliament and on the political platforms really needs to be reevaluated. We cannot be attacking our own people and dragging every good thing that is done in this country through the mud because it does not align to our political party.
Eventually, it was time for the audience to have their say.
The persons who eventually commit criminal offenses, they come from certain environments, they drop out of school early, they are single parents, they don't have proper support, there's poverty, there's financial situations, but there's the issue of choice. And I always tell people, you choose your outcome in life. So that is one aspect in terms of micro level, where does crime begin? That's where it begins. On a macro level, there is simply a lack of political will.
Gary Griffith and others like him.
Are we inviting? For those who don't know, Gary Griffith is who?
Former Commissioner of Police, Trinidad and Tobago, Gary Griffith.
Thank you very much.
And others like him. Are we inviting him to this conversation that we are having, or are we only inviting our friends and people who share our own opinions? Because if we are only around people who have the same mindset, how are we going to have institutional change? Have we looked at his record and other people like him? What his record was like? Didn't he do stuff? But we didn't accept it because the economist said that we should look at return for money, return for investment. And even when people give us that return, because they do not line up with our ideologies, we do not invite them to the table.
Others pointed to corruption in the police service, government not listening to the public, and delays in the criminal justice system.
It is my belief that the biggest problem we have in dealing with criminality right now in Trinidad and Tobago is the criminal justice system. Every time we try to address it, immediately separation of powers comes to the forefront, which is protected in Trinidad and Tobago by a written constitution. So it is something. So what has the government done? And I'm not here to shout all about what the government has done. But the government, we've implemented much more criminal courts. We've dedicated the whole of justice criminal court system. We've come out with the public defenders system. So no longer can people turn up in court and say, I don't have a lawyer to defend me. We've provided public lawyers to defend people.
If you are not getting arrested, none of the things that you raise mattered. And so Rishi spoke about it.
there's been no arrest. And so that is where the system, and Lauren spoke about trust in the system, and if it all breaks down because you believe that you can commit crime with impunity, that you will not be arrested, and nothing else we do at a parliamentary level, any other level, will come to any fruition.
Our cameras were not allowed to stay for the full program, but you can catch it in full on radio on Saturday on the BBC, and it would be available on...
I want to know how
imagine that fella. Go ahead, Tommy.
I want to know how come the Minister of Energy is the choice person to deal with crime and criminality.
You're picking the words out my mouth, Tommy. Tommy, you're in my head.
I don't understand how that fella could blame the judicial system for crime in Trinidad and Tobago.
And there we go.
Did I miss something?
We both missed something, and I want to know that fella who calls himself the Minister of Energy. How does energy align with criminality?
Where's the Minister of National Security? Was he assigned another portfolio? Was he unavailable? Was he ill? What was going? Maybe he was standing in for him.
Why standing for the Minister of National Security if nothing's wrong with him?
La 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 la.
I don't understand.
It doesn't add up.
It just doesn't add up. You blaming and Anita Haynes is right. If you not catching all the criminals in them, catching the people bringing the guns and all of that stuff, right? You will blame the judicial system.
Like I said, my friend said Wednesday night the event occurred. Wednesday night he had that situation. Today is Saturday. Up till now, the police hasn't left the station and come to his house and come to his neighbor's house to even do a little investigation as such. Come on. What would happen in this country if someone stole your car when you pulling into your driveway, Anselm? Wouldn't the police come?
That's carjacking.
Right
and
away,
and take a report and security video and be on the news and
But Tommy, there are somebody, I think they broke open somebody's house close to where we live in here. They come to us and ask us to retrieve footage from our cameras.
Right?
You understand?
Right.
I mean, and it was like it wasn't 5 days later, the same day.
No, they're not gonna wait forever.
Yeah, them, they're not.
And the Minister of Energy is attending Lord Father God.
He was Minister of National Security.
Was. And obviously the reason why he isn't anymore because something wasn't working.
But they put him back there again in order for him to be at a BBC symposium.
No, they are moving because remember he
no. Just in this situation, they put him back.
He was having too much issues with the stranded citizens forum online or something like that.
So folks, let's go for a quick station identification. Let's send the village to the DAT Triplets and WZYE 95.9 FM. Stick and stay. We'll be right back after this short message.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
Actually, JJ, I think most people have mischaracterized the true cost of corruption. I don't think the true cost of corruption, rather let me say it differently, I don't think the most expensive line item in the cost of corruption, right, is what it's done to the economy. I think it's what it's done to sentiment and what it does to talent. In other words, when you corrupt a system, those less deserving get opportunities to which they are not deserving.
Entitled.
The problem is that those who are deserving pick up a little green document called a passport. They get on a plane
and go elsewhere.
And they leave. Now, there are some people watching this who go, no, they must go. Let me tell you why that is the dumbest, most nonsensical thing I've ever heard people say. When you say, JJ must go, JJ is born in South Africa. The South African state educates him for 18 years to get his matric. Then that same South African economy, yeah, has built institutions of education. Let's assume JJ gets a master's. It's another 5-6 years of it. 24 years invested, and you're going to say he must just go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like because you're just flushing that investment down the drain.
And so, what's happened now, if it's not the semigration to the Western Cape, that's a separate conversation altogether, it's the proper immigration.
Yeah.
The number of South Africans who have sat in this chair living in Canada today would alarm you.
Sure.
The number who've moved to Australia would alarm you. The number I bump into, or neighbors of mine in the Middle East, will alarm you, right? Because what talent does, when you distort this thing about effort versus reward, is talent goes where it will be rewarded.
My goodness.
It doesn't have to put up with the nonsense. It gets on a plane and it leaves.
Yeah.
Now.
The director says going overseas.
That's on my own. But I think the point is this: the degradation is slow, right? So you don't feel it immediately.
Yeah.
But trust me. Let me end it by saying this. If you looked at the top 100 investment bankers in Wall Street today, you'd find a healthy percentage of them are Nigerians. The top brain surgeons in the world today, healthy percentage of them Nigerians. The top investment banking lawyers in the world today, healthy percentage of them Nigerians.
Sure.
What does that tell you? How is it that Nigeria is struggling with the issues it's struggling with, but some of the smartest people in the world are Nigerians? And then you look at where you'll find those Nigerians, and typically it's not in Nigeria. It means you've got this incredible base of talent whose skills, competence, and abilities are being harvested by another economy and not their.
There are two ways in which people are controlled. First of all, frighten people, and secondly, demoralize them. An educated, healthy, and confident nation is harder to govern. And I think there's an element in the thinking of some people. We don't want people to be educated, healthy, and confident because they would get out of control. The top 1% of the world's population own 80% of the world's wealth. It's incredible that people put up with it, but they're poor, they're demoralized, they're frightened, and therefore they think perhaps the safest thing to do is take orders and hope for the best.
We are back with you. It's in the village with the Dad Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. And of course, we listen to that video there on corruption and the one that we just played with respect to how they control you. And it's just so interesting, because, and like, I go back to the property there. Property tax is a prime example, people making excuses, right, in order to pay property tax, right? And knowing that, boy, that property tax that they're putting on those people is regressive and oppressive. It is regressive and oppressive. If you go across the world, just take the world and average across the world. Listen, in California, right, as rich as California is, right, not a lot of people paying 3% property tax. The average in California is like 1% average. I mean, and it is so unbelievable. And then you know what they will tell you? Well, boys, only $80 a month. Wait is. So Tommy and Dan, I want to ask a question. Should Prime Minister Rowley and Collingwood be paying 3% of annual rental value for property tax? And a person up in Chumaka Claventel paying the same 3%?
And that's the question I asked the other night.
Definitely not.
I asked the question. I said, is a 4-bedroom house in Chumaka going to be taxed the same as a 4-bedroom house in Goodwood?
Goodwood, yeah.
Right? So I asked her how,
How is that progressive? How is that progressive?
I don't know.
How is that?
Is it going to be 3% on the value of the house or what? Or is it an aggregate 3%?
They say the annual rental. That's what they're saying. The annual rental. That's the terms that they're using.
But so, oh boy, I don't know. Right. Oh. I don't know.
But in my opinion, that's very ambiguous because depends on where you are. The rentals can vary.
Yeah, the cost, a rental in Tromacag may be cheaper than a rental in Goodwood Park or Maraval or
And then again,
Laval Saint, huh?
and then again is what you're renting.
All that too, all that too. You
What
know,
amenities come with the rental? Would make the rental, you know, different.
because look, the rents in Manhattan very very exorbitant. I hear it's like a $32 or $3,500
For one
a studio.
studio. Okay.
$3,200 for a studio, subject to correction. But you can find a studio cheaper in the Bronx if you find it at all. And you may find a studio cheaper out here where I live, cheaper too.
Correct.
So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't put the 3% fixed across the board.
Not just that too, but
Mhm.
the term annual rental. Why isn't not the value of your unit?
The property and the rental, you're absolutely right. Because you may just play devil advocate. You may be managed to rent a property for 6 months of the year, and the person it breaks the lease and gone. Are you still supposed to pay 3% on the entire year or on the 6 months that you actually garnered? What is it?
Yeah, but you may never rent your property at all.
That too. What is it?
The whole thing is ridiculous. Not only that, you may be a senior who's getting a fixed income.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? How what consideration has been?
But you some people living in their own home and they're never gonna rent. It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. It the mat say matsin. That's what the calypso say.
Yep, there has to be a different scheme.
Yep.
And here the word I use, a scheme. There has to be a different scheme that has to be used to determine how people are being levied taxes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because who is coming up with the rental value figure? The authorities? Are they saying, well, this is located here, so we are going to ascertain that you should be able to get X amount of dollars in this is who's giving the rental? Who is determining the rental value? So, suppose me as the homeowner say, well, okay, well I go rent my thing for $50 a month on paper and collect the rest under the table. You see what's going on, right? Okay.
Yeah, listen, man. Like I had to agree with Gary, with the things he was saying.
Yep.
It makes you really wonder what kind of economist or should I say mathematician or finance minister really is.
Oh, yeah, he said Gary hit him below the belt and say he never even passed accounts at O level. Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, Gary hit him hard there, boy.
I'm trying not to go there fully, but you could take us there.
I pass accounts at O level. Imsburg, if you had passed accounts at O level, I don't know, boy. Woo! It is alleged. No, I didn't say so, eh?
Even though I mean he could have taken it at another time.
Oh. Mhm.
Uh,
And I'm made privy that things really. And I'm not gonna call the person's name. I'm made privy to understand that the person working a certain location, they see the Trinbagonian brothers and sisters coming in looking for work, and they're not getting the work. And when the Vennies come in, they're getting hired. Huh? You see what's going on, right? Okay.
That's probably because they want to pay below
the wages.
Right.
The minimum wage, yep. And probably don't pay no NIS neither too.
Exactly, under the table or whatever.
And I understand too, same individual, when they went after work, now you're working hard all week and you're going to the ATM, no cash in the ATM.
That's a ATM.
See stressors, huh? No cash in the ATM. That's what she said. Right? Trinidad, Anselm, you better call Dr. Early and tell he come on the show. Huh?
Oh boy, you think that would happen, or you see?
I gonna leave a voice. No, I gonna send him a thing.
You
I'm
see,
inviting him on the show. Let me see how he's
can I
gonna
show you?
handle
You
me.
see a green donkey first.
And let me see how he's gonna handle me. And he better not be buffing me neither.
Can I show you? You see a green donkey first.
Better not be buffing this Bajan girl. Because I don't take buff easy, you know. All right. Buff
Yeah,
is not a word, right, Ansel?
but I'll tell you something, Onyx.
Mm-hmm.
People get what they deserve. If the people want that, they can keep that, and they can continue keeping it and keep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what I say.
Yeah, because when you really think about it, the sort of madness that's going on,
Yep.
to keep things the way they are would mean something is wrong. That you endorse the madness.
And they like it so. They don't want proper
But then,
change and
but
and
then
and,
you
and,
have
and
then you have
go ahead.
you have the politics of fear, where one side fear the other side, and and they separate. They're separated along ethnic lines, and so
Well,
much.
let Bajan girl talk to them. If when I don't get when I act together and get Guyana put aside the differences and they form what is the word? A conglomerate, a multitude of different people put in the parliament and they just get along good. But let me put it, they get along,
No,
respect each other. Huh?
they're not going to be without issues. They're going to have issues, and they do have
But
issues.
for the betterment of country, they put their biases and prejudices and all that aside and work to better Guyana. If one in Trinidad don't want to do that, then stay. Want to mess and want to back a lacquer then. That's why I say. Bajan girls say so. Stay and want to mess.
Yeah, but Guyana have their issues too, but
But I don't hear it. I don't
manage
hear
it.
it, yeah. But whenever I see Guyana Parliament in action, they respect it, to each other. Everybody's allowed to make their point, and the speaker he reins them in, and when they go to cut ribbon anywhere, you see a representation of the different races in Guyana, and they're all there. I don't, if it is present, I don't hear it played out.
Yeah,
You don't hear it.
but in Trinidad, it's the race issue is more perception than reality,
But
Because when you really think about it, both parties, as Chucky said, both parties uh, have both major parties have people
they're
from
like Trippy D.
people from all ethnic persuasions.
Uh-huh.
It's just that they're playing on the head of the voters of the populace.
And there should not be, because for the and what really angers me, if one party starts a project and they weren't voted back in, the one that is in don't want to continue, but that is for the betterment of the nation, of the
Why
people.
makes that disgusting? You lose money when you leave.
Doing all that.
So I'm back. We have our guest backstage. He's just waiting. We have to just fix up a few issues. So let me just welcome a few people, and then we're gonna go to our guest. Judy says, "Blessed evening, Diana, Anselm, Tommy. Another wonderful day on planet Earth."
Thank you. Same to you, Judith.
She says, "Greeting to all villagers. Blessed love to all." Judy said, "At least he's given a hearing to citizens, them Rowley Hines and Ella not given any profound hope." To be honest, Trini's government can't fix crime. The whole justice system must change first. All that bumping gums not working. Trinidad Margot says he's a go-to guy all the time. Judy says, "Yes, sir, judicial system all working with lawyers, judges, bailers, and police officers." She said
they want another.
Nadia says, "Good night, everyone. Current now come back by me."
Okay,
All right.
Nadia.
So,
We'll come back, Nadia.
so folks, Mr. James, if you're okay, just give me a little thumbs up. You okay? You hearing me? All right, there we go. All right, so let's bring in our guest, Mr. Max James. Mr. Max James, welcome to the village to the Dark Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. How are you doing?
Well, I'm good. I'm really good, thank God.
Well,
I'm really excited to be on the program with you guys for the first time.
Good night, Mr. James.
Good evening,
Good
Mr.
night,
James.
ma'am. I really hope that we could have a fruitful discussion tonight.
yeah, well, I have to tell you that whenever a lot of people come into the village, right, we have a lot of fruitful discussions, and that's why we call it in the village, because when you come in the village, is to have a lot of fruitful discussions. So Mr. James, what would be nice, right, is that for just to tell the people a little bit about yourself, you are actually located in Tobago. So just tell the people a little bit about yourself, rather than me reading out all your accolades. So just tell me.
you make me smile. I'm kind of shy telling people about myself. I prefer a direct question. I don't want to be sounding boastful or.
Okay, so I'll ask you a direct question. Where did you go to school?
My God. Well, as a child, I went to Belgarden AC School, and thereafter I went to Bishop's High School, and then I did industrial relations at the Cipriani College of Labor and Cooperative Studies, and thereafter I did my master's degree in human resource management with a concentration on succession planning. If you wish, with a distinction. I also have an international certificate in imagine I'm forgetting, in competency management, and a few other things along the way. I suppose that is sufficient an introduction.
Yeah, he do look like the other James in truth, the one that comes in here and harass me. You do look like your brother.
Yeah, we have your brother is a friend of WZYE 95.9 FM.
All right.
He's one of our faithful friends.
Yeah.
But I'm delighted to hear that.
Yeah. Whenever we call him.
I'm happy that you always go to him for an excellent view from Tobago.
Oh yeah. He gave us well thought out views. You know what I mean? And we enjoy his views quite some bit. But Mr. James.
Yes.
There are certain issues facing Tobago, right? And some people are saying that there appears to be propaganda from the central government to THT Farley Augustine and his, government, I can say, in Tobago. What is your take on that? What do you say?
Well, I ran into on Facebook about a week and a half ago on a barrage of PNM criticism and perhaps might even be perhaps hate and memes and very interesting. I myself laughed at myself. But when the PNM believe that you're cutting their feet from under them, as I said, but some people have a problem with language. They don't understand metaphor. And, so when I said, I'm going to start here to clear the air, and sometimes I tend to be a bit abrasive. But I'll try to curtail my language tonight. I won't be abrasive. But at this stage of our discussion, I'll try to be more re-educative, if you wish.
Me and you from the same tribe, don't worry, with my poetry. Yeah, go ahead.
Good. So when I spoke about, I saw the PNM having a machine, so the meme started, really? When I said, I saw the machine, some people couldn't understand. They made it People they made people to believe that it was something physical, as if I don't understand what a computer is and what a computer can do. And instead of understanding the language that it is similar to the Russian in those days, the Soviet Union and the Russian and German propaganda machine, it's really a body politic that would get involved with you so aggressively that they want to shape your thinking and shape the direction in which you should go as a person and a body of persons as a nation. So they use propaganda to get you to believe what they want to believe. They want to wage war. They use propaganda. They want to do perhaps engage an economic strategy. They use propaganda. So when I spoke about the PNM machine, that is what I'm talking about. They use propaganda to change or to institute or to involve some kind of political rhetoric or to change a conversation in such a way that you believe what they're saying, to sidestep you, to derail you, to sidetrack you, and that kind of thing. So when we talk about propaganda, we can go back to a meeting way back in Roxborough when Denise Soyafat Angus had left the PNM, and Keith Rowley, our Prime Minister, said words to this. Said words like this. He says, "We are the mafioso. It's like the Cosa Nostra. We will kill you," and he added, "politically." So they are going to take umbrage to anyone who they believe constitutes a threat to the survival of the PNM. So the Prime Minister came out when we had this debacle when Watson Duke was thrown out of the party, so to speak. In fact, he had written a letter saying, "Well, you all are expelled from the PDP." So the other members of the House went and they swore in writing, if you wish, allegiance to Farley, so as to prevent any constitutional crisis. That was just to ensure that that could not happen. So they all wrote or signed a letter saying, "Well, we are aligned to Farley." So the PNM didn't get their way. So Rowley, as the head propagandist, he came and he said, "Well, that is not what the people voted for. You all should call an election." So he was instigating a return to the polls. What he doesn't recognize is that every time he gets involved in the Tobago politics, people dislike him. That's one. Two, when he gets involved in Tobago politics, when he changed the law, went back to Parliament, used his parliamentary majority to change the law. So we moved from 12 seats to 15 seats. He lost. In fact, they would have lost everything except for a little problem they had in the Wim constituency. But we leave that alone. But he lost miserably. The PNM lost miserably. And he's still not getting the picture. He's still not getting the message. He's still signaling, using his power of office and prime ministership and all of that to cause confusion in the Tobago space. Rowley himself was rejected by the people of Tobago in the 1980s. And maybe he has a peeve since that rejection. He has never been accepted by Tobagonians because of the way he behaves and because he's aligned to the PNM. So he came 1986 to 1991 and called our harbor a duck pond. But he sits there as PM and as a PNM, not recognizing that if he helps this administration, who has grandiose plans for the development of Scarborough, to ensure that we have connectivity to the rest of the world, that his legacy might be entrenched. He will leave something that people say, "Yes, Rowley helped to do this." But he's just not getting the picture. So he and the rest of his PNM troops are on a propaganda trail to discredit anybody that they see as a threat to the PNM fortunes. They want the 2 seats in Tobago. And so that they are now using the arms of state to stultify development and growth in Tobago and hence the Tobago economy. So when you use the arms of state, because the minister controls the board of the EMA, any appeal eventually goes to the minister. So here it is, the intent of Parliament was not for the Assembly to appeal to a minister. Because as is the case, where you have a minister all ostensibly or ultimately responsible for the Environmental Management Agency, what are you likely to find? But they took the matter to court. That's all part of the state infrastructure that they are using to stop the Assembly. And Tobagonians, more than they think, are not taking it lightly. So we will hear what the courts have to say on the matter. And I'm very happy that we still have the Privy Council. It's just as they did some years ago when Justice Nadia Kangolu ruled against the Assembly. Orville London, who was the Chief Secretary, said the judge was wrong and she would have failed in a number of points. And Patrick Mann at the time instructed Orville London to withdraw the appeal. So that judgment is still on the books. And rather than doing Tobago an injustice, justice, he leaves without following his Trinidad master. And we withdrew the appeal, so we're in a bad place. Another occasion has come. And I want to suggest to the Prime Minister that he instructs the EMA to withdraw the appeal and let us work up this administrative issue peaceably. And that's my exhortation to him.
Right. So Mr. James, just give the people a little bit about the EMA issue, because we are talking to the diaspora as well. Just tell them a little bit about the issue with respect to the EMA and exactly what happened.
Well, let's state in the first instance the law which governs the Tobago House of Assembly's operation administrative arrangements. The law is clear that state institutions and the like should act in accordance with the policies of the Tobago House of Assembly. The fact of the matter, there is an EMA unit for which the Assembly has control. And if they don't have a problem, how could central government, using the arm of the EMA or the body that is situated in Trinidad, to overrule what the Assembly is responsible for? Because the law says that in the 5th schedule that we are responsible for the environment. Now, the EMA has, in terms of its schedule, a number of things that which it can say yes to or no to in terms of its protection of the environment. But that part of that responsibility is also under, as I'm seeing this and reading it, within the Tobago House of Assembly, there's an environmental unit located in the Tobago House of Assembly. So which do we follow? Do they have necessarily overriding powers? And I think that for the way how we read it, the answer should be no. I don't think that if you haven't given the Assembly in terms of the 5th schedule, you can now say, well, forget the arm you have in the Assembly that the law says you're responsible for in the 5th schedule. We are going to overrule you and tell you that you can't do the road. The road is close to where the new airport is going to be built. It's an extension of an existing road. But at item 20 of the 5th schedule, right? And just to give the diaspora an indication of what the powers that the Assembly has, we are talking about state lands, land and marine parks, museums, public buildings, sports, tourism, culture and the arts, community development, cooperatives, agriculture, forestry, town and country planning. I'll tell you something about that in a minute. And at section 20, because there are about 33 or 32 areas for which the Tobago House Assembly is responsible. But at item 20, the environment is clearly stated as a responsibility which falls under the Tobago House of Assembly. So if we have a unit that does not find any problem with the project, it is amazing to see that the authority that is based in Trinidad is now saying you can't do it, and we're going to injunct you. it was not intended to put these things as a responsibility of the assembly, but a state agency can disagree with our approach to our own approach to the protection of our own environment. The intent of Parliament was to give these things for the control and administration of the assembly. But you come in now and override it through an injunction to stop, or as I like to say, to stop the assembly in the performance of its duties.
Is that to make life difficult for the teacher?
Well, how else can it be? You have a secretary, and the most visible secretary, as we all know and as we all have seen, is Trevor James. He happens to be my brother. I was once an assemblyman. I was once a secretary. I was the labor secretary in the assembly. So I understand how the assembly functions, and I'm not speaking lightly. But I like to lovingly say of my brother, he's a sharpshooter. When the inclement weather devastated Tobago last year, within 15 days, he was able to cut through a mountain and give public access to the people in Bloody Bay and Partevere and Castara and so on. You know, the EMA could have come and said at that time, well, you are damaging our environment, so stop that road. They could have taken the same view. But they recognized that Mr. James is setting a new ethos. He's setting a new standard through effective project management, as we all learn in university, doing things speedily and properly, setting new standards and getting things done fast. When they go on a project, between I would wager between 15 and 20, 21 days, the project is completed. You could begin to operate, and then the fine-tuning comes afterward. And that's what he's doing. So they're mortally afraid of that kind of progress. Here you had an administration in Tobago for the last 20, 21 years, stealing from the public purse rather than spending the money for the Tobago's development. You check at 21 years, close to $50 billion passed through the PNM administration hands. Close to. And see if when you come to Tobago, you're seeing $50 billion in development here in Tobago. You're not going to see it. So we ask yourself where the money went. A lot of projects were oversubscribed, stealing, raping the Tobago treasury, so to speak. And then they have the goal to come back now and talk about corruption.
But Mr. James, didn't they give you 2 new boats, the APT James and another boat?
Say again, APT James?
Yeah, didn't they give you 2 new boats?
Yes, they give us 2 new boats, a few $1 million. That and let's not be fooled. When they boast about the 2 new boats, it is because those boats have been bought ostensibly to benefit the Trinidad businessman, because we don't have a port here. So nothing comes into Tobago, and if it comes, it goes to Port of Spain and then comes back. So the Tobagonian has to pay lots more for items that, had we had a proper port, is the only island in the Caribbean, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't have a port, a true port. And the research has shown that where you have a significant port, a true port, that your economy grows between 7 and 17%. And so therefore, we are at a significant disadvantage. So it's just not buying 2 boats is what matters behind that. You don't have a significant private sector in Tobago. We still have to go to Trinidad and hop the same 2 boats to come back. And who benefits from the transaction? The Trinidad merchant, of course. But if you were to have a significant port, then the Trinidad merchant will be cut out of the picture, and we will build a significant and a true private sector here in Tobago. But they don't want that to happen. They want to keep us captive. We are a captive market for the Trinidad merchant. And I want to tell my Tobagonians, I want to say in the Trinidad diaspora, your motherland here in Tobago, brothers and sisters in the United States, and I'm speaking specifically to our diaspora in Trinidad of the second, third, and fourth, fifth generations. Do not vote for the PNM in this next local government elections, because they are pauperizing your motherland. They are not interested in developing where you have come. That is why you had to leave Tobago and go to Trinidad. That's why when people like yourself come back to Tobago, you wonder, where is the development? Where is the $50 billion? Why isn't Tobago much more developed? So people have to begin to open their eyes and see that we are not benefiting from the PNM. We are not benefiting from this relationship. And I personally am a secession. The relationship hasn't benefited Tobago. They steal our oil, they steal our gas, and give us back in a budget of 4.03%. That can't wash it. And you have jokers like Dr. Vanas James, who will tell us, let us do a calculation based on your size and your population. That formula has not worked for Tobago, and it should be revisited. And if God has left me with something, as he has left Tobago with significant hydrocarbon resources out in the sea, then all is ours. And then we'll say to the nation how we should share it. So we have to go back again to the drawing board in terms of how the revenues that are extracted from Tobago's waters, because all they like to say is one nation, but the one nation thing ain't working. You, Mr. Lebon and Etal, all of you there, has it worked? Have you seen it work for Tobago? It's not working. And therefore, we need to have a different formula in terms of how the country should function, because what is given to Tobago certainly is controlled by Port of Spain, and then they control the rate at which we develop, they control their livelihoods, they control everything. And I just showed you about the boat issue.
Now, what Dr.
They will continue to benefit from the largest of this country.
Right. Right. You talk about Dr. Vanas James, right? At one time, he was a full supporter of the THA. It seemed that he is no longer a supporter of the THA, and he was saying that, I'm paraphrasing that they should call a new election, right? So why do you think all of a sudden, Dr. Vanas James have shifted the other side? And we always hear about, all the things he have done up the islands with different, islands and so forth. Why he has sort of shifted his focus and trying to say now that, they should call a new election, when he knows fully well that, that's not going to happen?
Well, Vanas has said words to this effect. Bow to my brilliance, or I will destroy you. Chief Secretary, I bow to no man, only of God Almighty, who can deliver us all. That's Vanas. I remember, because
I'm going paraphrasing, or are you quoting?
I'm quoting from a document forwarded here to me.
Okay, all right.
When I was a secretary, I want to say this tonight because I think it needs to be stopped. So I was the Labor Secretary, Cooperatives and Consumer Affairs. That joker was of the view that workers' cooperatives, money should not be poured into workers' cooperatives. And he said, I'll resist. In front of the whole meeting, Chief Secretary was the other secretaries and other advisors. Chief Secretary, I'll resist with all my being. I had proposed something called SEED, C-E-E-D, creating employment through entrepreneurial development. And he was upset, not understanding. I don't care whether you have a doctorate in economics or whatever you have. It's just pure common sense that the working class is the engine of the economy, because if they succeed, then the upper echelons of the business class will succeed too. And you have an economy in Tobago where enough capital is not poured into the areas to stimulate the economy, so that where people want to form themselves into business groups, and my thing is cooperatives, being the former cooperative secretary. When I look at Israel with the kibbutzim, I look at Puerto Rico, I look at Costa Rica, and there are so many examples, even the great United States, where cooperatives getting all sorts of activity at that level, because they're going to buy from the merchant will buy from the manufacturer or supplier, and that's part of the chain. And so the initiative did not fly. There was significant. Again, I developed an idea called merit, manpower enhancement, re-engineering, initiation, and transformation. He said, we want to put this into the Tobago what is called the document in terms of Tobago to a development document. And he took the idea, transformed it, and then called it worker speed up, never even acknowledging the fact that he got the idea from somewhere else. Intellectual deceit and theft. But he likes to go around talking about intellectual property. I have never seen, because the idea about the Tobago, what we have here in Tobago here, is not his. PRDI, Policy Research and Development Institute in Tobago, that's Hochul Charles's and the Executive Council's idea. So he took it. But have you seen, I challenge anybody, show me one significant piece of work that he did that stands out as a legacy of Vanessa James anywhere in the Caribbean. He boasts about working in Jamaica and all over those places. I haven't seen any significant work that you can point to as a legacy or as a lasting institution that Vanessa James did. Talks, and talk about productivity.
So is it because of the audio tapes where he has come to this point? Is it because
I don't know. I hope it isn't, because he wanted to have Farley effectively as an acolyte. And there are so many systemic problems in the assembly. And because he can't get his way in the way he wishes, he started to badmouth Farley and promised to destroy him. So he is now joined, from my understanding, with Denise Soyafat and her IDA party.
That's what it is. He is joined up with.
Well, if he hasn't joined, he's an ardent or a significant supporter. So there is where he is. I am so disappointed in him, right? But you have to understand that in politics, you're not going to always get your way, and you're not going to jump off the ship because you ain't get your way. I remember one of the other significant misdeeds of the PNM. We left there in 2001, January 31st, 31st, 2001. And one of the first things the PNM did, although the law under the 5th schedule says that we're responsible for communications, and we had developed the Tobago Communications Company Authority, something like that. And the first thing Orville London did was to mash it up. So we would have had our own, so to speak, TSTT here. We'd have making our rules and having our own company here to deal with telecommunications. So we'd have to rely on Digicel, perhaps, and TSTT, perhaps. There might have been some partnership with them. But as it is, that's 21 years ago. We live in a digital age, and we need to do things that we see best for ourselves. Our signal, from what I understand, comes way out of San Fernando. And if there's a breakdown, then, as has often happened this year and last year, very often, we can't communicate with the world. So we need to change all of that. But these jokers, when they realize the speed at which we want to do things, they will find every opportunity to undermine this assembly. I think, as is the view, when they saw the outpouring of love and support and the rushing to form a own party outside of Mr. Duke, they got afraid. They thought that it would not have happened. But it's coming. I want to assure Tobagonians in the diaspora and those of us who are listening here, and in particular, for the purposes of this political season, the diaspora in Trinidad, we need to put your support behind those who are in power right now in your motherland. Nothing else is more important than ensuring that the PNM loses the next local government elections.
No,
your motherland is under attack.
No,
and you defend it.
Right now, Mr. James, the big question a lot of people want to ask, right?
Yes.
With respect to the audio tape,
right?
And people are questioning: is the audio tape real? Is the audio tape artificial intelligence? You know, and when is Mr. Farley, going to say something about the audio tape? Now, what is your take on the audio tape? And many people are saying as well, should he resign? Should him and Sarisha Hackett resign because of the audio tape? And other people are saying as well, they don't think they did anything wrong because they didn't break any law. What says you?
Well, I like the last statement. But let me go back to the top of the... Let's go back to the picture itself that accompanies the audio tape. It is purported. Some people feel is the Secretary of Education. I have a different view. I don't think it resembles her. And that alone, we shouldn't even have to go further. If it is that you have a significant body of persons saying it is not Zorisha Hackett, and a few number of persons are saying it is so, or you can cut it how you want. More people are saying it's her, less people saying that it's not her, or vice versa. Then they have a confusion. Something is wrong. So let's go to the second element of it. Why would the chief secretary, a married man, just having a baby, starting out as his family, a good Seventh-day Adventist, a good Christian, I've never heard him talk anything loose, would allow a woman, as we say in our Tobago dialect, you remember this term, you're a Roxborough man. You know this term, dodo, right? When a baby dodo on your chest.
Yeah.
It's an intimate kind of a thing, right? It means something. That baby close to her mother, or even her father's chest, feels the heartbeat, hears the heartbeat, and the baby falls asleep because the baby dodo in there, right? So you have a picture of what is purported to be Zorisha Hackett dodoing on Farley's chest. You see how that woman close her eye? You see how she hold and Farley hold her? That is what they're trying to purport, that the man is an adulterer. That the man has an outside woman as a secretary. You see how nefarious the PNM is. So when I saw that, and they're trying to cast the man as an adulterer to the whole world, and you have people don't like me saying it, but I say it because for me, I'm a scrapper. I am a scrapper. You have a certain, because he admitted it to me in a WhatsApp text. He told me, I called him the chief adulterer in Tobago. He said, Max, when my clothes, I could read it, and let me go to his page, but I wouldn't read the whole thing. He said, when my clothes get thrown out in 2017, that's not, hold on. I go read it to calling his name. Let me find it here.
Is that chief adulterer in Tobago or in Trinidad?
Well, there's one in Trinidad and one in Tobago.
Okay, all right.
I'll quote from the one in Tobago. Okay. Hold on. I'm pulling it up.
So, folks, if you just joined us, we are speaking with Max James out of Tobago, and we are discussing certain issues there in Tobago, and we are getting to, with respect to the audio tape and the picture that accompanied the audio tape. If you just joined us.
Yeah, there's a easy. There's a hold on. Oh my God, there's the.
But while he looks for it, got
Yeah,
it?
yes, go ahead.
While he looks for it, Anselm, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What forgive me, Father, forgive me. What the lady hugging Farley, Mr. Farley, have to do with developing Tobago and broadening Tobago's
Well, I think Diana, what's important is that, you know, if you want to portray a certain kind of outcome, you could do things to make it look like what it's not. And I think that's kind of important if we have people who are trying to do something.
So I'll find it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll find it. Let me. Yeah, but if I put this up on the screen,
no, just read it. Just read.
He says here. So he says, my clothes getting thrown out in 2017 wasn't a matter for the Integrity Commission or police. And that is your big defense for this scandalous recording. But it's the PNM that is responsible, in my view, for that recording. And therefore, I mean, in a real sense, if a fellow wants to have an outside one, that's the business. But as a leader, make sure that doesn't come outside and the public has to see your clothes get thrown from 2 or 3 stories up in the air and catch spreader on the ground outside for the world to see. That cannot be good, a good standard for my little daughters to see that a fella holding a wife, she can't take it any longer, and she say, you see that? I throw your clothes outside. And you want, if you're doing them things, that is your thing. But don't talk about morality on the other side. Clean up your act first before you could talk about other people's business. But I know certain leaders in France, in England, and elsewhere lost office because of adulterous behavior. In Trinidad and Tobago, anything could play. But we had to begin to set new standards and had to begin to set a new culture and new ethos in terms of how our leadership should perform. So when you're trying to portray the chief secretary as that, and you have been in this, and you're in a worse situation based on your record, then I have a problem with that. I believe, I mean, I don't see him in the dark or in the night, but I don't believe for one bit the chief secretary is involved in terms of what the picture they have depicted him as. So we solve the picture thing there. And then we come to the recording. What the chief secretary said, once you are properly employed, meaning you have gone through your applications, you have necessary qualifications, you're employed. The Secretary for Education says, already there are people who are willing to support us. There's nothing wrong. The chief secretary set the tone. He said, if you are properly employed, you might be willing. The Secretary of Education, you might be willing. And there's nothing wrong with any public officer willingly supporting the administration. People use fake profiles every single day on Facebook and elsewhere. That is how countries function. That is how wars are won, through propaganda. He hasn't broken any law, as far as I'm concerned. And even if even if we agree that is the chief secretary and Zorisha Hackett, you have a crook and a leech and a leaker and a mole and a sleeper within the TPP, purporting to love the party, and then people having a private discussion, assuming it is them. But let us admit it is them. What kind of damage are you doing to your own self? Because you'll be found out, eventually you'll be found out as to who did that nefarious deed. But I cannot say for certainty, having regard to how that picture has been photoshopped, So we know there's some misdeed going on. I cannot say with any degree of certainty or assurance that it is Farley and Zorisha. So they link pictures to words. And so when I talk about the PNM machine, that I've seen it, that is what I mean. It's a propaganda machine similar to the Soviet Union or Russian propaganda machine, to the German propaganda machine, to the British, to the American propaganda machine. They use the media. I mean, it's just an everyday, minute by minute occurrence.
So
as a means of gaining superiority or winning an election, as the case may be.
Right. Are you saying there's PNM people within the THA assembly looking to undermine, Farley as the THA chief and the administration?
No, I'm not saying there are PNM people in the assembly, in the administration itself, in the 13th domain. All I'm saying is that within the TPP as a party, they are sleepers. They are propagandists waiting for an opportunity. I know of a few of them, and we have discussed it in our circles, and we're waiting to see how they're going to play their hand. Some of them are looking for political office in the new TPP. All right, I can't call names, but we know some of them. And if they're hearing this program, I'm telling you guys, we know who you are.
They're not currently in the assembly, though.
No.
They're outside.
I know there are people who were once PNM, disaffected by the bona fide PNMs, and have come across faithfully. And I'm hoping that they remain. I don't have a problem with them. I think they are true persons who don't support the PNM any longer. So I could vouch. I think I can vouch for that. For all those persons who are now supporting the TPP, right? So I can't see or even suggest for a minute that there are people within the administration who are supporting PNM underhandedly. I don't think that is the case, and I trust that is not the case. I think they're all on board, and I'm hoping that is to remain for all of them, so that we could have a successful and a proper and a secure political infrastructure without any more quarrel and problems, that Tobago can thrive and Tobago can grow and develop. That's what I'm really hoping for.
Right. So Mr. James, I want you to stay with us, right? We're going to go for a quick break. But when we come back, right, we want to talk about an issue that made front page with regards to a $7 million loss in the carnival.
Right.
And we also want to discuss too the licensing officers that came up to Tobago, and they came up temporarily, and after 2 days, I think they abandoned their post. Word.
Right. We will talk about that.
Yeah. So let's go for a break.
In the meantime, I'll just run for my charger in the next room.
Yeah, no problem.
And come back.
All
Less than half a minute.
Right. Stick and stay. It's in the village with the That Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. Let's go for.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio. WZYE 95.9 FM.
All opinions and views expressed by the program participants, including those on social media, are solely their opinions and views and do not reflect the opinions and views of WZYE management and staff.
So we are back with you. It's in the village with the Dad Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. If you just join us, we are talking to Mr. Max James out of Tobago, and we are discussing certain Tobago issues and how the THA in Tobago under Fali Chavez Augustine is being treated by the central government in Trinidad. We are back with you. So we are back with you, Mr. James.
Yes, I'm ready.
Right. So the next two issues we want to talk about is the issue with regards to the front page headline with respect to a $7 million loss, from Carnival, which Tommy had an opinion on that, right, Tommy?
Yeah, but it's a combination of Carnival and the Jazz Festival.
Correct.
Which I thought was rather disingenuous of the Guardian to make it a front page issue and to paint a picture that was inappropriate and untrue, so to speak, because when you really think about it, Tobago had a 2-year break or hiatus from the festival due to COVID, so it's a restart, and it's their first carnival last October. These, like any other business, it has to be seeded. Not just it has to be seeded, but also you have to give it the time to actually grow, and it's an investment. It's not a loss.
Right, and maybe I don't even need to say anything more, because I think you have captured it quite well. The fact of the matter, as you said, we came out of COVID. I even lost one of my businesses due to COVID, and I was starting over. As we say in Tobago, I'm catching my nenen to stay afloat and to make a proper profit in terms of my investments. And that whole thing about COVID, I know we may have different viewpoints on it, but the fact of it is improperly managed. Lots of businesses didn't have to be shut down. In fact, some people have got sick, died because of the stress of losing their businesses. And when you talk about giving people seed capital or capital support, but the conditions are very onerous for people to meet the levels required to get the government funding, and therefore, those people should hush their mouths. The assembly is doing all that it can to bring back a new level, a better level of economic activity in Tobago. So it's not going to be good as everyone would want it to be in the first outing, and it's going to build certainly this year, because they are setting the stage, as they like to call the stage out on the sea, right on the shoreline. The EMA wants to stop the assembly, but they built the whole esplanade, put along the shoreline from where those two oil tanks were, those refueling tanks were, right down to the end. Going down to where WASA used to be down the end there. Nobody told them anything. It was necessary, and the EMA didn't tell them anything. They proceeded to do it. But the minute that something innovative, something new is done, they run to their minister friends, and the minister masters tell them, listen, stop the assembly. The assembly must not look good. Along with that particular project, a new road was built by Trevor James, Secretary, the IPU, in 21 days. 2 bridges and a road. The same roads that were there existing, they clean it up and fix it and pave it in time for Carnival. As we say, sometimes I like to be a bit jocular. Brrr, the road is done. The bridges are. So they don't want us to succeed. And that's just what it is. So all the data has not been properly compiled. And therefore, I think it's too early to give that figure the figures are not fully and properly audited. And even if they were audited, is it the first time a government anywhere in the world, in this world, has operated and created something and got itself involved in something that has not made a profit? What is the big deal? $7 million? That is any kind of money?
I have a question.
That's
So
I have a question, sir. I watched there are economies in the Caribbean there that have a similar population count as Tobago, namely Anguilla, namely Cayman Islands,
St. Kitts.
St. Kitts. And they're autonomous. They have their own, they do what they want. And what does Tobago have to do? I'm not talking about breaking up the nation, Trinidad and Tobago. But how can Tobago, is there anything Tobago can do to get more autonomy and not be so dependent on Trinidad strangling them?
Well, it's a hard question. I'm a trade unionist by nature, and I like to demonstrate and to go out on the street and carry the big flags, like on Labor Day coming up next week. You walk the sands of San Fernando, you walk the sands of Labre, and all those villages in between. And all I know, because from the experience, is that when people march, things happen. When people rise up socially and march, I'm not talking about using guns and ammunition, I'm talking about marching and making their voices heard, things happen. So maybe the chief secretary and his administration has to buoy up Tobagonians, rile up Tobagonians, and say, listen, we are not happy. We're going to march. We will go down to Port of Spain. We take the two boats, go down to Port of Spain. We're gonna canvass and sit down around Parliament. I think when we had done it in the days of Ocho Charles, Basil Pandey did not like it. The next year we got a better budget. So, and we must remember too, in the last bill that came from the last draft bill that came for public discussion and debate, you know what they had in it? There's a particular clause. The other clause will take a whole night to discuss, but I wanted to focus on one particular clause where those guys in Parliament, they wanted to be able to come to Tobago and appropriate any piece of land or state land to be used for the purposes of the government. And that is one of the areas that caused Tobagonians to strongly and wrongly reject that bill. So that they could have come, we have state land, the law says we respond for state land, but if they wanted, they could come and say, hey, we're taking it. It's like the American government taking over the St. John's lands and do what they want with it. So they want to keep us in control. The contracts that were given on for the airport, one tender, the Chinese company, and it's not building an airport is a little thing. We have contractors right here in Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago that can do it. Not anything special skills. We have a lot of engineers. Look at the record of Trevor James. We build things very fast and very well. All of the projects that have been done here in Tobago, they have done within record time and properly and soundly built. So that Tobago is larger than Antigua. Tobago larger than St. Kitts, Nevis. In the context of the Caribbean, Tobago is one of the larger islands. And as I said, it is about keeping Tobago captive, a captive market for Trinidad, and to ensure that the oil and gas that are in Tobago's waters are used for the development of Trinidad, and we only have a little cacada, as we see. A little sprinkling, 4.03%. And then what was proposed in the new bill was not a mechanism that will give us any significant say in respect of our hydrocarbons, our gas and oil. What are the Tobagonians saying in New York? You think the governor of New York could go down to Florida and tell the governor of Florida what to do? You think the governor of Illinois or Ohio or California can tell each other what to do? They could work together. There are federal laws, but the federal laws are fair as possible they could be. So that you can't come and institute laws and rules and regulations that stultify the growth of the people in Tobago. And I'm calling again on the diaspora of Tobago descent to speak out in defense of your motherland. It has to happen, because you will forever come home back and talk and just can't understand why Tobago is not being developed. Is it for the first time in the history, or the second time in the history of Tobago's politics, that we have a regime that really understands what has to be done for Tobago's development? I'm very certain that you all have seen the grandiose plans and images out there for Tobago's new harbor and the development of Scarborough. And we want financing for that. And therefore, wherever this message can go, you all need to come to Tobago and find an occasion to discuss with Trevor and the Executive Council how we can have money to finance the port development and the development of Scarborough and Tobago as a whole. We need the private sector funds because the government is not going to give us what we need. They came with a very jokey proposal early this year. It was wrongly dismissed. They wanted to extend the finger pier, the existing finger pier, by I think about 80 something more meters. It's crazy. They want to dictate to us what we should do, to give us a finger pier, extend the finger pier, and Rowley call a duck pond. That's to say what they're doing something. So they threw that fish outside there. They threw that thing outside there, thinking that we will catch at it. That's not what we want. We want development Tobago style. We want a development that where the world can meet us, and where we as a proper point of exit and a proper point where people can come in and a proper point where people can leave. It's not going to happen the way how they want it. It must happen along our terms and our style. One should be the Trinidad continues to determine what happens in Tobago. And they must get it and understand that it's not going to work out for the nation if they continue to colonize us.
Yeah. So, Mr. James, here's a question from the chat, right? It says, question for Mr. James. Will it profit Tobagonians to do business with Grenada and St. Vincent because Trinidad merchants are exploiting them?
But of course, so that once you have a proper point of entry and exit, a proper port, let's call it a proper port, where we can meet the international community, where ships can come here, just as they go to Port of Spain. By the way, it is the port of Scarborough is closer to the United States than the port of Spain.
That's interesting.
Just as the crow flies, or as we say, nautically speaking, the port in Tobago is closer to the United States and England, Mexico, and all those places than Port of Spain. So it's a shorter journey where they're going to save. So that once we have that port properly developed, and we can develop linkages with Barbados, Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, going up north, right? And they are our Caribbean neighbors. Demographically speaking, they resemble us more than the people in Trinidad. We don't have any quarrel with our regular Trinidad friends and brothers. Half of my family lives there, right? My wife is from there, and so forth. But she understands because she's lived here for a very long time, and that status quo can't continue. We want to be able to manage our own affairs. We want to be responsible, men and women, a community here in Tobago, a nation here in Tobago, just as every other island in the Caribbean and just as Trinidad is doing for itself. It is better if we stay together, but if it's not, if we're not passing laws and rules and regulations, then let us depart. And if we depart, then all our oil and gas becomes ours immediately, and we have all of it to monetize and to spend for the development of Tobago. So for me, I'm a secessionist. It has not worked, and I'm not seeing in the foreseeable future where it's going to work. And again, I'm making another appeal ad nauseum that the brothers and sisters of the diaspora should begin to agitate more for a better union. We want more money to develop Tobago, where we can trade it any place, any island in the Caribbean as we see fit. Where with a new port, or economy is going to grow, or people are going to come back home. They're going to set up businesses in Scarborough and environs, and it will be better for everybody. But you all have to lend your voices to the politics in Tobago to ensure that Tobago can thrive. The PNM, after 20 years and about 50 to 60 billion dollars, there's nothing to show over the last 20 years under PNM rule. It doesn't make any sense.
So here's the next question from the chat, right? This person is a Tobagonian as well. The person says, Mr. James, where does the PDP stand in relation to TPP governance by the THA?
Well, as far as we know, the PDP is no longer a political force in Tobago. Watson Duke has taken up his marbles and gone. And he's just there. I'm surprised that he hasn't spoken out on this issue. What I heard him on
That's interesting. Why you don't think he has spoken now? Why you don't think he has been spoken?
Well, in the first place, we tried to hide it. I was his consultant when he was the president of PSA for a short time, and he would take no advice. So I said, I'm giving you a history of the man. So I said, I was his mentor. I said, let me resign before he'll boast and say, hey, I fired Max James. So the day I resigned, he sent a letter next day saying, the next day after resigning, I fire you. I said, you have to be one joker. So he has left, taken his marbles and gone. That's the level of his intelligence. We try to hide it for peace in Tobago, but luckily we found Farley, and he's there. And we're hoping that God gives him the strength and wisdom and understanding and the stick-to-itiveness to hold the course for Tobago's development. So we're hoping that happens, and that he's not distressed in such a way as to throw in the towel. I don't think he's of that metal. Speyside men are not of that metal. So I think he's going to hold the course. So as to Watson now, I heard him on Facebook the other day saying that whatever he's saying, he's going to sit under the protection of the house. So you know what that means? He can come there and tell a lie. He could come there with half-truths and innuendos. He come there to make commerce, as we say. And that's his only purpose now. So he has no set of followers any longer. And so his way of being relevant is to come to the house and criticize what is being done in the assembly. He wants to run for the mayor of Port of Spain. So I think why he's perhaps why he's silent is that he realizes that anytime he opens his mouth, he talks foolishness, and people move further and further away from him. So maybe someone has spoken to him. Say nothing. Say nothing, because when you talk, you put your foot in your mouth. As a matter of fact, we understand and we have seen where he puts his foot. You understand? But that's another story. Very disrespectful guy.
Oh dear. Do you think Oregonians, I've been there several times. I just got back from there the other day, right? And I'm kind of embraced by the people. And I listen and I watch the pulse. Do you think because some people said they voted for PDP because of Mr. Farley.
Yes.
Right. Do you think with all the, propaganda, for lack of a better word, going around, it may sway Tobagonians to uh, go back to the PNM?
Well, Vanas himself said there is no going back to the PNM. In the least, he's been brilliant enough to read that, to understand and to articulate publicly that there's no going back to the PNM. So I suspect he will preach that. But his only other alternative is the IDA, which people recognize is another part of the PNM propaganda machine, because Dini Soyafat is no serious politician. All right. She doesn't bring any substance to the political table, so to speak. And it's really nuisance value that she has at the moment. So that of the two options, people know, and it will be further exposed in due course, of the misdeeds of the PNM. People know that it's not going to work out for them if they continue or go back to the PNM. I don't think that we have any serious alternatives. You have, in the first place, let's look at the character of the man. You have Kelvin Morris, who is the minority leader. Imagine you are the minority leader. You've won your seat, so to speak, right? You've won your seat. But yet, you gave your leadership, you gave your political power and authority to somebody outside of the house. That tells me that you're no serious player. That tells me that you don't have the ability to lead. That tells me you're running from responsibility. That tells me you can't stand up to Keith Rowley and Ansel Dennis and all of the PNM hierarchy saying, hey, we don't, even though you won a seat, we don't want you to be the PNM leader and voice in Tobago. You stay in the house, do your thing there, and we will do the talking from outside. What does that tell you of Kelvin Morris? What does that tell you of Ansel Dennis and the rest of them? So that I think that was a bad decision in the first place. Nobody really respects him except the PNM horde. Outside of that, I don't think people will return to the PNM. I think by the time the 4 years, within the next year, fiscal year coming up, we are going to see what the TPP is made of. Very soon, the party is going to be properly formed with all the officers properly elected and all of that. And then that machine, that political machine, the TPP, the new party, all right, will begin to do what it has to do. So that I'm not worried, I'm not daunted at all about what the PNM is doing. And I'm very confident that the prospects of the TPP will remain as it is, or perhaps, and even in the next time, the full 15 seats. That's what I'm seeing, well, at least for the moment. But I'm very confident that that is what will what that is outside of if you don't have the new autonomy bill. But still, that case is for 15 seats anyway. So we'll see what happens. But I think the TPP will remain triumphant in the ongoing political atmosphere and political situation here in Tobago.
Mr. James, would the TPP be focused on the general elections for 25?
It's a bit too early for that.
Too early?
Well, I'm suspecting so. I think the immediate that's a long-term agenda, of course, and that is due just before the Tobago the next Tobago House rounds of Tobago House elections, and what I mean by that is that if the new bill becomes law, then we may have an elections before the general elections. But that not being the case, I think the first order of business, in my humble view, is to have the party properly formed, get your elections machinery properly in place, do the administrative work, develop your new policies, do continue to do the development of Tobago, have internal peace, and I think that's what people want to see. They want to see leadership. Someone said that Fali says he's a transformation leader. We could discuss that too. But at this time, I'm thinking that those are the immediate things. Let us build the political infrastructure. Let us build our political machine. Let us get that going. Let us get that fully entrenched. And I think that the political runs will be made, the economic runs will be made, the developmental runs will be made. And I think Tobago will go forward. I want to invite all of us to believe that and to support that wherever you are.
Yeah, because what I'm thinking is that the TPP may hold the balance of power in the parliament.
Yes, for 2025. Yes.
Yeah, by becoming active in the parliamentary politics as opposed to just being in the THA local.
Yes. So for me, that's the trajectory. For me, that should be the focus. Getting our acts in order, get our political business in place, and then take up that journey towards the parliamentary elections and the next to be good House of Assembly elections. So once the party is properly formed, their next call of duty is to engage in robust administration of Tobago's affairs, even testing the waters in terms of any legal issues that the Prime Minister himself may institute, because they're trying to block us, to make us look incompetent and say they're not functioning. They're sending the money very slowly. The law says it should be done quarterly and then block. Minister of Finance says, I don't have any money. And that's the behavior of Colin Imbert and Keith Rowley and the rest of them. So I am. The people will begin to hear more. The chief secretary and his secretaries making their next rounds of meet the people meetings, and the people will hear of the issues. They will see what is going on, and I believe when people see that people are very reasonable, Tobagoans are very reasonable people, and they know right from wrong, and they don't like being harassed and goaded into corruption. We are not a corrupt people, but there's either way you want to call it, there's a significant few or insignificant few that are making the mischief. And they will know who stole the money. They will see it. The secretary has already revealed certain things in the Tobago House of Assembly. And I'm thinking that when people begin to hear of the facts, so they've been trying to sidetrack people into believing, well, Farley and Trevor James and all of them, they are corrupt. They're not doing anything. They can't be trusted. We didn't vote for that. Give them, go back to the polls. Let us have a new mandate from the people. And they're having these things out there, making mischief and confusion in the society. And people are not recognizing that that's the agenda. And I know that they'll be strongly rejected at the next House of Assembly elections. But they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop the TPP from being formed properly. And what Bob Marley said, they can't stop the train.
Yeah.
So
I'm back. I guess my laptop is doing something here. So here is the question, right? When Mr. Farley Chavez Augustine got elected as the THA chief, all right, and I saw some of the things that he done, I coined him a transformational leader.
Right.
And a lot of people in Trinidad and Tobago came down on me for coining him a transformational leader. And one of the quick examples that I used was him changing people from coming to an office a governmental office in Tobago from having to put on a uniform, so to speak, or put on a suit. You know, now you could come with a sapat, you could come with a slippers. So I said, he take us off the plantation. And whenever you're trying to take up people off the plantation, I consider that to be transformational. Now let's go over to Trinidad. In Trinidad, they said, you still have to dress up to come to our office, right? So to me, that is transformational, right? What do you say?
But there are different schools of thought. There's a definition for being a transformational leader. There are certain things that will identify whether you are transformational
proactivity, as opposed to a transactional leader who is reactive.
Well, yeah, but he's been able to, in my view, get people to understand your vision, get people to follow robustly and significantly and in volumes what you're doing, what you're undertaking. Where they see that you're leading by example, you are able to show them the way, make them understand, and so forth. There's not only buy-in, but there's enlistment to the cause. One of the things I was overjoyed with was when he said, listen, you are trying to stop the public who come to pay money or to do what they have to do, and you telling them that they can't have a slipper on. But the white folks who come here to visit us, they can walk into any place with a slipper. No, correct. That had to be foolish.
Correct.
And one of the first things he did said, listen, I don't expect you to come to the office in a jockey short or a panty or something that if you want to be ridiculous to make the point. But he was saying, I remember my wife, beautiful sandals I bought for her. And we were stopped at the Division of Agriculture. No, the security said, you can't come in. You have to wear a whole shoe. You can't come in here with a slipper. And that annoyed me. And by nature, I would resist those kind of things. I would just walk in and let me see if you're going to arrest me. Right? And so that was thrown out with immediate effect. But I think he's able to inspire people. I think when he begins to speak, even if you might be angry with him and the water's a little bit muddied, the waters begin to clear up. So I think he has the ability, uncanny ability, to inspire people and to cause them to see the vision and to cause them to see a new direction and to enlist on what he is intent on. But I think for me, he is a little bit more what you call incremental. And though transformational, I think he's incremental. He reminds me of Barack Obama, who would take his time to speak. He will take a little while to make a decision. And when he makes a decision, believe you me, it will be a sound decision. And I don't fault him for being an incrementalist. It's better to be safe than sorry, I would wager. And he's still a little bit too longer for me. He's still on the a little bit too long for me. Sorry, I think he's still on the learning curve, and I think when you were saddled with men around you like Vanessa James and so on, you will leave you when you're surrounded in the earlier part, sorry, with a man like Vanessa James, you will be confused and want to even tread more cautiously. So I think he has gotten Vanessa out of the picture. I think he's now beginning to surround himself with senior people. One criticism of him though is that he has too many young people around him for my liking. That will not imbue confidence. So my thing is that he must begin in terms of his own divisions and ministry, if you want to use that term, that he needs to begin to have around him, at least for the visibility or for the imagery, or image, whatever it is, the right term, with people with significant experience, people of a certain ilk, so that people, when they come to you, they will have the confidence that you're being properly advised and so forth. So that's a change I would like to see. Another change I would like to see, I remember when Over London had introduced a policy that for someone to become principal, they must have a first degree. Now, I had initially um, disagreed with that approach, but I came to understand that it imbues a certain level of confidence, is that the head of the institutions are really well qualified people. Now, let's bring that back to what I want to say, bring that around to what I want to say. So when you have administrators, somebody who has training in fisheries, or somebody has training in engineering, or somebody has training in some other discipline, an administrator has to manage a significant number of persons. And my belief is that the persons who should be administrators should be also, apart from their other qualifications, if you want to be an administrator, should have an understanding of how people function, how things work at that level. And the only degree and qualification and competencies I see being qualified, having an international certificate in comes to management, you need people properly qualified with the competencies to run the public service. So people, in my view, who want to be an administrator, I think he should set the new policy. He has the authority to set a new policy. You want to be an administrator? Have a master's degree in human resource management, or at least a first degree in human resource management, public administration, and that kind of thing. Anything around those areas would be good enough for me. What you have coming in based on seniority, people who don't have the competencies to function as administrators because of their lack of training in human resource management, public administration, and so forth. At that level, those are the qualifications you need, alongside with anything else you have, or just those sets of qualifications, because the decisions you're going to make will be cockeyed. These decisions you make will not come from training and competencies in the area of human resource management fit to run the public service. So I think he needs to look at that particular change of policy, so that administrators, when they come in, they must understand finance, because they are administrating over large sums of money. So you want to see you have some significant training in finance, or a module in finance, succession planning, performance management, those kinds of things, public administration modules, and so forth. And not a man who comes in because he is an engineer or he's a fisheries director, only having a degree or some kind of qualification in that area. He will not make the kinds of decisions that will cause the public service to be well administrated. So that I think that that needs to be looked at. If you understand what I'm saying, that needs to be looked at as a change of policy going forward.
So Mr. James, here is the last question for me, right? Can you tell us 5 things or 5 improvements that has been done by Farley and the THA since they came into office? Can you give us 3 to 5 things that have been done? Tell the people 3 to 5 things that has been done by the THA chief, and by Farley and the THA since they have came into office.
Right. So that's the easy part. But let's start in health. The chief secretary and the secretary for health, they would have been able to properly institutionalize the new hospital at Roxborough. It is now, almost now, or perhaps right now as we speak, where you can sleep in, as we say. It was just like an emergency hospital at one time. Now they're putting or have put all or most of the medical machinery and infrastructure in place so it can stand on its own. It has its own medical chief of staff. So that has been there. Then they had the cataract surgery program where people are now seeing better, so to speak. No pun intended. So there are people are now seeing better. The eye surgery program was a tremendous success, and so forth. So that's two areas in health. Let's go to agriculture. We have seen significant. I haven't agreed with everything that the secretary does, but I could safely report to the Tobago diaspora that there are significant gains. I keep forgetting the name of that boat that we have, the MV Tobago. I think what it is, I can't remember. Sorry, Paradise. What's it called, the Paradise? What? I don't like to sound foolish, right? However, that is now ongoing. The ship is back in the water, and they're catching a lot of fish, and it is paying its way. And people are having fish here in Tobago, and perhaps I think throughout some areas of the Caribbean. So that was another Capital of Paradise is the name of the boat. So that has been a significant development. And then we have areas of agriculture where there is an uptick in farming activities, and those activities are going to bear more fruit within the next 6 months, and then the growth cycle and bearing cycle. So we're going to see some more, greater improvement in that area. Then we come to the sharpshooter, Trevor James. He's basically the face of the assembly, and that's what people like to talk about. We did the road in Mid Scarborough, catering for the Carnival last year, a resounding success. People didn't want to see it happen. It has happened. That roadway is a connector from the highway or just beyond Bishop's High School, and it connects you to the middle to Mid Scarborough, and they're just waiting to connect it, final connect point around Gardenside Street. So you can travel. You don't have to travel along Milford Road. You can, if you have the primary school, I think the RC school, you have Bishop's High School. You come there to drop off your children. Even from Light and Life, you can travel, and you don't have to go back on the highway, but you can travel straight through along Gardenside Street and into Central Scarborough. Then you had from the inclement weather last year, Trevor was able to cut through a mountainside. They still do some minor works there, cleaning up and sharpening up and so on. Works there, and the entire hillside was cut. And it is the responsiveness of the secretary. He doesn't waste time. You want the road cut, I'll have it cut for you. So he was able to do that. Then the place called Grugo Patch and the whole of the Windward Road, you were seeing retaining walls and box drains built in record time. So he has attached a new level of and sets of competencies in the construction center, and he's showing that the public sector can even do better than the private sector in terms of its responsiveness, is able to finalize and complete projects, right? And then you've seen people now to put the other areas where the vision, which Trevor would like me to say, the vision is transformational, and that is slowly being put in place, and where people are going to see more things happening in Tobago. So that vision has now been created. They are digitizing the public service, and there's an entire new management ethos by Assistant Secretary Sutika or Williams, or whichever it is. Sorry, Sutika, if I got it wrong. So you're seeing the elements of transformation taking place. We had a little resistance from the public officers, but that is normal. having been under the PNM for about 20 years, of people are now understanding that they have to be more professional. So I know the Chief Secretary is building, is etching out a new professional class of public officers. And I think that once you have your the public sector, your public officers working in the way they should work, and then generally people are seeing the results of the work of the other secretaries who are more visible than some. I think when you put that all together, we can safely say that the assembly is being transformational. We could safely say that they're getting things done in spite of the comments, in spite of the distractions. I think Tobago will be, despite all of these problems, Tobago will be a better place by the next time you come back.
Mhm. I have a question, sir.
Yes.
It said that ever since Mr. Duke departed, or Mashup, Dr. Mashup, Roxborough is being neglected by the THA. Is there any truth to this, or is just
I think Duke lost a golden opportunity. He went to Dubai. He said he wanted to go to Dubai. So we let him go to Dubai. He came back and he wanted to, because he figured he was being overshadowed by Trevor. So he said, I want these things to Roxborough just as you see Scarborough going to get. But there's a road, brand new road, connector road, built from Argyle or Kendall right into Roxborough. People use it heavily these days in the commute from the back side of Roxborough into the front side of Kendall. So he can't really see, and that's all in a few months. So he can't really see unless he wants to make a happy show of himself.
No, he didn't say that. There were some of his constituents on, it could have been a broadcast, a live, is saying that Roxborough seems to be neglected now that there's,
Let us
beef between him.
So let me tell Duke's constituents who are of the diaspora from Roxborough that things have started, things are happening. You remember what the Lamy Road? That road is now properly paved and properly drained and going right back into Roxborough, Argyle, the end, well, beginning of Roxborough. So I think, and of course, then you have the new fire station. Then you have the new hospital properly commissioned and put in place and properly operating by this administration. Then you have the new police station. So I think it's a bit unfair to say that Roxborough has been neglected. The evidence, the pictorial evidence, the factual evidence is there. So, and those things are both finalized by this new administration.
Mr. J.
Yes.
On the Wynwood Road, are there plans to put guardrails on some of those locations that seem very close to the edge?
You mean the edges of the roads?
Yes.
All right. And even on the cards, they had to be pushed back from what I have been told, like Bad Rock and so forth. You have to remember that the PNM was there for 21 years. And everybody wants everything fixed now. And that's their right. But help us by calling out the Minister of Finance. Help us by calling out Keith Rowley. Help us by calling out Aina Webster Roy. She's been there for almost 10 years. Almost 10 years. 10 years. You imagine that. And therefore, she has left the constituency of Roxborough where she's from. She's from that area. Bessie's Hope, Roxborough. You understand?
Yep.
So when they are calling for rails and all these protective devices and infrastructure, blame it on Aina Webster. Blame it on Aina Webster. She sat in Parliament there like a mouse for years. When this thing started to happen, you only hear started to talk. Yow, 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 yow. I mean, I'm a bit joking, as I said. You know, started here, like she just wake up. She doesn't have a voice all the time. On the other side of Tobago, the same thing. The pretty the pretty nice girl, Tobago West, Champa Kojo. So I know for sure, in particular, because they've started to do it already. They're putting the basic infrastructure in place. Trevor had one of the most robust and aggressive paving campaign in the history of Tobago. There's at one time, in fact, on their Show Me a Road program, they develop an app that you just have to take a picture, go onto the website, and you post the pothole. Then suddenly you hear no bitumen because Trevor was going so fast. One of the most ambitious road paving and road restoration programs in the history of the assembly. So that he's going to start back again. And I'm very sure within 1 year, you're going to hardly see any potholes in Tobago, except those caused by the road termites, WASA. John Dahl is in a mess. All over the burst pipes. You fix one today, tomorrow another one, or the same one next 2 weeks. So they're then working out something with WASA to have those things repaired and repaired properly and on time. So it's not fair to say that, and they want to tackle Bad Rock. Lebon, you are Rockshore man, you know how Bad Rock is, and they want to fix Bad Rock so that you wouldn't have those dangerous things on the sides of the road any longer between Bell Garden and Kendall. So those are some of the things that I know from what the division has said that they will fix. And so I'm very certain that when Bad Rock is fixed, I don't know what the PNF will say. They can't come back from that. It's going to happen. So Lebon, when you next time, maybe within the next, I wager within the next year, Tobago, you will see something quite different once you come back to Rockshore. And then in terms of the vision and the transformation, in terms of those ideas, we have in the road from Goldsboro right back into Palatavia, Bodybuild and Palatavia area. They've walked it. Some people were lost. They went back. So things are happening. But I think that next time you having this program, invite Trevor. I'll send you his contact and he'll give
Yeah. Send it to us and we'll definitely invite him. That's no problem at all.
Trevor, tells me he's better than me now politically, so I'll make way for him.
Well, it's a fight between you two and you all, right?
No, we ain't fighting.
No, fight.
No. I just joking with you.
No, a positive one.
Yeah. No, I still ain't fighting. It's just complimentary.
Yeah. So listen, we really do want to thank you. We kept you a long time, and we appreciate it. Send us Trevor James information, and you tell him that we will contact him, because now once we have you, now that you are a friend of WZYE 95.9 FM,
Trevor will put the icing on the cake for you.
Good. That's what we're looking forward to. You know what I mean? And to give people the information, especially us here in the diaspora.
Once you hear him, you wouldn't have more time for me.
Man.
They call Trevor the man with the plan.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
We want to talk.
I think you need to get him on as soon as possible.
Yeah. No, send the information and we get him on as soon as possible.
Right.
Any closing words before you go? Any closing words before you go?
Well, let me give it Trevor number now. Right now, you could take it.
No. Send it to me.
All right. Maybe that's not a good thing to say.
Yeah.
Although I don't think it's a
Send it to me. Send it to
All
me
right.
on WhatsApp.
But closing words, I think I needed to tell Farley et al. That they need to hold the fort. All Tobagoans must enlist and be part of the new movement, the TPP. We've gone through the storm and the mill, and I think that the final product will be something that we've always hoped for. We need to dismiss the detractors. We need to, we want all of us, the diaspora here in Trinidad in particular, to do not vote. If you love the motherland, do not vote and don't encourage others to vote for the PNM in the next election, that is the local government elections. The people in Florida, New York, Georgia, California, all those south um, eastern states, even the southeastern states where we have a lot of Trinidadians and Tobagonians and so forth. Um, you need to understand that Tobago is your country. It is being decimated by the PNM. The PNM's got close to $60 billion over the last 20, 21 years, and your motherland has nothing to show for it. It cannot be that that incompetence can be translated into our next 4 years or 3 years in the case of the local government system, and certainly not for the 2 seats that are up for grabs in the next election. So we need to take those things into consideration. Help us show you the way, and you also show us the way by let us all be of one mind in this political journey for the betterment of Tobago. If you really love your motherland, then we will need to ensure that the PNM permanently stays out of governance and power in this country.
So, Mr. James, we want to thank you so very kindly.
Thank you so much, Mr. James.
Thank you.
You're most welcome, folks.
Send me Trevor James' number.
Until we meet again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, indeed.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, what was that, man?
Mm.
Yeah, all right. So here we have it, folks. I ran into some internet difficulties there with my laptop, but thing just shut down just so. You know what I mean? You know, but I mean, I think what it is that we getting information, and that's what is information is key. You know, and I think, you know, even when we get Trevor James in here, we'll be able to get more information. And hearing from the people in Tobago, you know, how they feel they're being treated by central government. I think that's very important too, you know, because they feel like they're second-class citizens, you know. And the last thing, you know, I'm not sure if they treated the last regime in Tobago the same way they are treating this current regime. You know, because the last regime was one of the same, right? And this regime is a little different. So, you know, I don't understand something. I don't understand why. Anyway, let me go for a quick break, and when we come back, we'll come back, and then we're going to wrap up. So just before we go, Carice, welcome, Carice. Carice, Hailey, Nadia, Ken John, PDS, that's Pastor DW. So PDS, we call you PDS, Nadia, Mean Jean, Rennie, Lana, Hailey, already called Hailey, Ken John. Put closing comments in the chat. I see my boy Ambrose Blanc came in. Ambrose, welcome. We didn't see you because I was on my phone. Oh, Ambrose say what? I know Ambrose very well. To even repeat what Gary Griffith said about the minister is pure garbage like himself. He has fallen from grace, so only a few blindfolded who chant his praise. Whatever. You know what I mean? Let's go for a quick station identification. Stick and stay. We'll be right back after this short message. Extend the village to the DAT triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
Back with you. It's in the village to the DAT triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. I want to welcome Kapiza. Kapiza, I want to apologize because I think this is a good question. I had this question on the list, and somehow when I get distracted, I didn't ask that question. Will the property tax be higher in Tobago, and how it will affect the Tobago people? I think that's a very
good question.
That's a very, very good question. I had that question on the list, right? And somehow I got distracted when we got kicked out. But Kapiza, I'm gonna keep that question in mind, and definitely, that question has to be asked. That's a very, very, very good question. Kapiza, I think tonight. I think you put on your glass tonight. I feel he put on his glass tonight. You know what I mean? That was a very, very, that's an excellent question. And I think that's kind of important with the way how this starts going in Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, Tommy, I getting scared for them people that 5 years down the road, Tommy and Diana, might be a possibility that if they implement this 3% tax, a lot of people go have tax liens on their property, and there's gentrification coming to Lavantil and environment.
Quick.
I'm telling them, make sure I'm saying it.
Well, people are going to have to stand up for their rights.
Yes, if the people don't stand up for this 3% tax, many of you all in the urban districts in Trinidad and Tobago will face tax liens. And when there's tax liens, your taxes can be sold to someone else. You might be renting from your next owner.
Or they want you out altogether.
Tommy, you know how much houses they used to be selling in New York and in New Jersey?
Of course. Right? I winded up buying in the tax liens.
Yes, tax liens. That is the next thing I have to put on the table. These tax liens can affect these people. It could be. You ain't gonna face it now, You think it's little $90, $90 a month, right? Or $30 a month. When your car paid after a certain amount of time, they're coming after you to take what's yours, right?
Because you're gonna have interest, you're gonna have legal fees.
Correct.
Right. Penalties.
Penalties. Yeah, somebody will knocking on your door telling you, you no longer own this property, right? Tax lien on your property, and the government sold the tax lien on that property. Yeah?
Some nefarious people would come.
People have to stand up in Trinidad. They
have to stand up, and the truth. I mean, it's and Tommy, that people saying, oh, it's just $30 a month. It's just $30. Why is $40 a month? You know what my pocket could hold? You know how far my pocket could go?
Not only that, it is not just $30 and $40 if you do the math.
Well, that's how they're putting it across to them. In order for them to buy into it. That's why it's $40 a month, right? That is only $480 a year. What is that? That's small money.
That's 3% of what?
No, I just showed a number.
Yeah,
just showed a number. Showed a small number. That's how they're telling you now. That's how they kind of selling it to you that, it's small money. You don't have to worry about it. But no, boy. Tommy, you know for a fact in Newark, there's a lot of properties that were sold for tax liens. And tax liens.
That's right.
You can buy a lot of property tax liens because the people didn't pay the taxes for years, right? They take the property and they sell the lien because the city is not in the business of property. The government is not in the business of property. They will sell that tax lien. Yeah?
Yeah, but they want their revenues.
Correct. So folks, don't let them bamboozle you and tell all is only this and is only that. Think about a few years from now. Yeah. So, but I think on Tuesday we have another big surprise. Tuesday we'll have another big surprise. So, you all stay tuned. We have a big surprise coming up Tuesday.
But even if they started off at 0.5%,
yeah, Tommy,
a little bit more reasonable than starting off at 3%.
Yeah.
If they start at 3%, where would they go from there?
And people saying, oh, it's only 3%. What is 3%? Do like Barbados, and Diana, you actually learned that Barbados is only 0.25%. It was kind of accurate based on you do the quick calculation, right? Right?
Yeah.
So, Diana, is Sparrow we like it so? Is Sparrow we like it so? No copyright?
I think so.
Because highly want us to go out with that.
Unless he's singing it live.
Can you check that for me?
Unless he's singing it live.
Yeah. So here's my closing comments. Forgive others not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. So forgive others not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. From where I sit, this is it. The clock on the wall, so that's all. I like to stay where I've got to go. Remember, hard work beats talent. When talent does not work hard, for every 60 seconds of anger, you lose 1 minute of happiness. See you. Same WZYE time, same WZYE channel. Later. Where Diana?
Let Tommy go. I'm searching for something here for you.
Okay, no problem. All right. Tommy, go ahead.
Yeah, be the change that you want to see. And let us start with the man in the mirror. However, when you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, don't blame the mirror. Don't break the mirror. Again, it's been a pleasure being here in the village. Look forward to our next session. Be safe out there. Remember, I love you all. And love is the key. Good night, all.
Thank you, Tommy.
Yeah, I think it looks like it's copyright here.
Yeah,
it says BGI and all that stuff.
Yeah. Highly, we can't play that because of them copyright infringement. So
or you could play Lord Nelson. We like it. I don't know. I think that one ain't happening.
Now that one might have copyright.
Okay. All right.
So go ahead.
Anyway, my closing comment. We are living in interesting times where truths and propaganda are all mixed up. And all you have to do is push a hashtag and sell your truth. Don Santo. Good night, beloved people. Always stay safe here.
I like that. Always stay safe, yeah? Oh, God. Yeah, so Ken John says, blessing, good night, everyone. Be safe. Shalom, peace to Ansem, Diana, and Tommy. Nadia said, blessed night. Good night, everyone. Stay safe. PDS says they want to raise the pension age like France. I'm going to 70 years for retirement. 65, no one living long anymore, so many will not get pension in their lifetime. Think it easy. Ken John says if Trinidad, if you harness any energy, they want to charge you for it. Even if a waterfall, Wassa want to charge you for it. Oh God, right. All you stand up about that tax, die for the whole country, you know. That's just not for PNM or UNC, you know, or COP or NTA or PDP, you know. It's everybody. Even if you have vacant land, you know. You know that?
Yep.
If you have vacant land, you're getting an annual rental value of that too, you know. So let's sit down there. Heidi says, God said, oh, put your trust in man or kings because God is your creator and your trust is in the Lord Almighty God. Do that and watch everything change for the better. God's blessing. Thank you, Heidi.
Thanks.
Yeah. PDS says, thank God in Jesus' name, amen. Chris, welcome. Okay. So I ain't see, let me see if there's any other comments. I ain't see Eugene, Julian, I ain't see Rennie. Yeah, boy. Ken John, no joke, you know. That 3% is dangerous when people are not working, you know. Imagine you have a little piece of land put down there, right? You just put down there and it's saying, no, all you had nothing on it. All you get an annual rental value too, you know. All you go see.
What happened? They were renting them on the ants and the agouti and thing that running across and sleeping there in nightclub.
You get an annual rental value, and that is 3% in your preference. Take that. All right, all you sit down there and think. Yeah, it's only $40. Imagine you have a piece of land saying down there, right? And you haven't paid a penny on it. All of a sudden, they come and tell you they want you to pay 3% of our annual rental value, whatever it is. Right? All of a sudden. Look. Anyway, we go out to the explainer. And explainer, that's why we have this anthem song in here. All you know, we just always give all of this anthem song. Everybody have a fantabulous weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.
Is Pharaoh still existing? As he before, resembling an Israelite, not being treated right, enslaved day and night. Oh, we just can't go on this way. We just can't go on this way. Please deliver us today. We just can't go on this way. We like the Israelites still in pain. We just can't. So send us another Moses again. We just can't go on this way. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Lord, look around, you'll see the Pharaoh mentality ruling universally. Leaders promoting their ego, being a modern Pharaoh, tyrannies they manifest. Oh, we just can't go on this way. We just can't go on this way. Please deliver us today. We just can't go on this way. Time to make them oppressors pay. We just can't go on this way. So we children could see their way. We just can't go on this way. Oh, 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 oh. No, 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 no. The poor have to slave night and day for next to nothing pay, so they can't see their way. We don't enjoy equal facility like Pharaoh and company. Brainwashing we say we free. We just can't go on this way. We just can't go on this way. Please deliver us today. We just can't go on this way. Time to make them oppressors pay. We just can't go on this way. So the children could see their way. We just can't go on this way. Oh, 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 oh. say, Lord,